Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie vlog. I am the critic who is a cynic, and very sorry indeed for all of the crazy. So, what happened was I hit live before changing things in Restream, and so it created a second stream. And so some people were in that stream, and so I sent the link to the right stream and then deleted that stream, and that caused a lot of chaos. But I should be coming through now over on YouTube and on Periscope, of course, on Twitter as well. Sorry to the DLive fam, but as you all know, it's hard for me to even just get this stream up and running. But I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone's Sunday is going swimmingly. And today is indeed the Chosen of Valhalla stream for the month of October. Yes, indeed. Sorry for the confusion and sorry for the madness. But today I am joined by two wonderful, lovely ladies. Let's start off first off with the modern Major General, the mother of the channel,
Yes.
Laura. Ryan stole my fan fiction story, who is always waiting for an erotic. Laura, how's it going?
I have many, many names. Yes. Hey, how's everybody today? It's a beautiful Sunday here in California. We have the sun is out and you can see it. And that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool, especially with all the smoke that's been in the air. You know, being able to see anything is pretty fantastic.
Yeah. The fire's real close to here. It's Napa, which is 45 minutes north of here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the third time that area's burned. That's pretty intense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, thank you for joining us. Always appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
Always fun to be here.
Absolutely. And joining us also, she is the Empress of the Universe. She is one of the Valkyrie, one of the mods. She is, of course, the wonderful, the beautiful Tina. Tina, how's it going?
I was going to say, wait a minute, where am I? I'm good, thank you. It is cloudy here. We haven't, fingers crossed, had curfew in a week. So I guess they've decimated downtown and have moved on. So whatever.
Like locust.
Yeah, like locust. Yeah, exactly. So I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Well, that's good to hear. Always glad to have you here also. And also glad to have everyone in the chat here as well. Again, apologies for the crazy start, but as you all know, I have masked before. Sometimes I'm serving, sometimes I'm handling the live streams for them, and then I go to the grocery after, and then the wife always wants random things at the last minute, and things are always crazy hectic, unloading the groceries because she can't really do a lot of that now. Being almost 40 weeks pregnant, etc. So it's just been a little bit crazy. I hear my echo a little bit. Am I playing somewhere in the background by chance?
It did a little bit, but I don't hear it right now.
Okay, maybe it's gone now. But
Hopefully.
yeah, so that was crazy. And as I try to tell everyone, hey, don't worry, we're gonna get started. It might be just a little bit late, and I want to shout out some people in the chat. So let's go ahead and start off with Baptist702, who gave a $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Baptist702.
Wow.
Says, good to see you again, Father Odin. Well, thank you very much, Baptist702. It has indeed been a while. Glad to see you here. We got Bryant Barth in the chat. How's it going, Bryant Barth? We got Stephanie B. How is it going, Stephanie B? Glad to see my general in the chat. Eric K., who is a member on the channel, is here. Great channel name right here. It says 2020 is a trash fire. Yes, that's just his username. Yes, I agree. Rob D in the chat. Tina B, of course, in the chat as well. Gonna help mod because I'll talk a little bit about some of the craziness that happened last night and why we might have some trolls in the chat. Let's see. We have Alex McCarthy, who is a member on the channel. Hail to you. Bylan the Hobbit also here as well. We got, of course, waiting for an erotic Laura in the chat too, with the wrench to take care of any trollery as well. GMuggy76, how's it going, good sir? Heimdall is indeed alive and is working. Bashy Washy, how's it going? LeBug47, how's it going? LeBug, it's a newer name. Andrew Hoyle, who's a member of the channel, says, what in the world just happened? I'm asking the same thing. Again, apologies, Andrew Hoyle, for the confusion there. Lord Toth is here. Bruce is here. Also, what's going on, Bruce? Alex McCarthy tagged, I have to go to bed early like you for once. Surgery at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow. Well, Alex, I think isn't that the surgery that got pushed back because of the coof? And if that's the case, then I'm glad you're finally getting that surgery. But obviously also thoughts and prayers heading your way, because I know surgery is not a fun thing ever. Mike Jackson in the chat. How's it going, Jedi Starship? According to Christie's snort. Oh, Mark Lisseth. Oh, Mark Lisseth. So mean. Steve Carter, what's going on, good sir? He also gave a super chat and says, for some pizza. Thank you very much, Steve Carter. I appreciate that. Just got some more pizza from the store today. So I'm very excited for that. That's for damn sure. Let us see. Anyone else that I have not seen here? Andrew Hoyle says, did you Nerdrotic Boomer your stream? Yes. Yes, I did. I became Gary. Oh, wait a minute. I thought I hit the right button, but I didn't. Wait, I'm not lying. Wait, where am I? It's pretty much what I was feeling. Yeah. And let's see.
Key is not to panic when that happens.
Exactly. Don't panic.
Yes.
Don't panic. Let's see. Jed, TESD Toad, Joe Bag of Donuts is here as well. Eric K. still on vacation. We'll go back to enjoying your vacation, sir. Mark Oquist says no pizza. No, not today. I had to wolf down some. The Laura had this vision in her mind of me wolfing down pizza, which would have been pretty great. But no, instead it was some sausage biscuits, microwave sausage biscuits that take a minute. Quick food.
Wow.
Yeah, had to get it down. Had to do it. And let's see. 70 says a tiny echo for me. I think we've taken care of that. Lord Toth is not a troll. Wait, double checking. Nope, not a troll. Oh, I'm hearing my echo again. I say that it's gone and then it comes back. Let's see. 70 B tagged says, I will have to go a little before to teach yoga again. Oh, no problem at all, Stephanie B. No problem at all. Andrew Hoyle, good luck with the surgeries to Alex McCarthy, and iPhone autocorrect sucks from Eric K. So, we're caught up now. Now, Tina, are you playing the stream on your TV?
I am looking at you on the TV, but I have the sound muted.
Okay.
So I just look up to see expressions or whatever.
Okay. I wonder why I'm hearing an echo.
Looks of disgust. Ooh, $20 pound.
I just saw that. Yeah, it just came through. Force Ghost Jeremy.
Thank you, Force
Thank
Ghost.
you very much for that. Says, here's something for the baby fund. Hopefully it will make up for the lack of sleep you might have for a while. Take it from me, it's now normal to have just 4 hours of sleep if I'm lucky. Well, Force Ghost, I know that because I think Force Ghost, isn't your little one almost a year or a little over a year now at this point? I think. So once again, congratulations to you, and thank you for the advice and for the heads up, because Lord knows, yeah, sleep is going to be a thing. 18 months, he says. Wow, that's awesome.
Oh.
Yep, I'm trying to enjoy as much sleep as I possibly can. And sadly, my wife can't get any sleep with everything going on. But
Oh, God, I remember that. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, not fun at all. All right, so before jumping into talking about what's been going on in the lives of Laura and Tina. First off, I want to shout out Rosetta Allen, who could not be with us today, sending thoughts and prayers to her. So hope everything is going well with her. And we'll be sharing her links as well, because she obviously still has projects that she's working on. So shout out to Rosetta Allen for not being here and praying for her. Also praying for the K-Man. The K-Man is having some back issues, he said earlier, so he might jump in, he might not jump in. He's really going to do whatever is feeling best for him. So shout out to the K-Man as well, and praying for him and his recovery as well. And for the others, I'm not sure where they are. I haven't really, I think, heard much from the others, but I'm sure that they are doing other things right now. So Mr. Roy, I don't know if we've heard anything. He said that he might not be able to make it. He said that yesterday, but shout out still to Mr. Roy for being awesome. Gotta love Mr. Roy. And then I don't know where they've been, but Miss Martin Muses was also invited to be here, and I'm not sure what she's doing. I know she's sometimes busy on Sunday, so that could be it. And then Darkstar 57. Hopefully the shirts are selling well, good sir. If you've not bought your Duck Fisney shirt, you should.
Oh, I got one.
I have, yeah,
Oh.
I have two.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I have two. And also I have, let's see if I can grab it. Oh, without unplugging anything. So not only do I have my other Duck Fisney shirt here, so look at this. Look at this bad boy. It's beautiful. Duck. Fisney duck. Very brilliant design is what I say to that.
That is nice.
But I also, finally, because I've always asked Gary, hey, where can I buy your shirt? And it was always oh, we'll send you one. And then I was never sent one. So finally, it was Perry Chan, shout out and all hail to Perry Chan, who posted a link to when he got his Nerdrotic shirt. And so sure enough, finally, I found his link, followed it, and so now I've got my own Nerdrotic shirt. And it's beautiful.
That's such a great logo.
It is. Even my wife was like, that's a really good logo. And she's in design, so I take her word for it for sure. Alrighty, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit of a delay for y'all. So, yeah. And shouting out all those people, talking a little bit about why I think there might be some trolls in the chat today. So last night on Twitter, I was tagged in a post.
Sorry.
And and even though Laura tagged me, but it's not her fault.
Okay.
It's not Laura's fault. No, it's not Laura's fault. All she did was tag and said, "Hey, like look at what this person said." It's
Clown.
just clown, right? And so I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's kind of ridiculous." So the guy apparently follows anyone that retweets him or anything, because then he posted on it saying something like "stop complaining" or "stop whining" or something like that, "stop crying."
Stop crying.
Yeah. And so then I responded to it. And again, this is on the post that Laura shared with me, right? So this is her post technically. And so I respond to him and I'm just like, okay, whatever. All of a sudden then I get like 50,000 notifications because essentially a mob starts to go after both me and Laura. And it was insane because it was all about, because basically my comment to him was, oh, you have pronouns in the bio. That tells me all I need to know. And then all of a sudden, this mob comes after me saying, technically, you also have pronouns in your bio. Follow me. Me is a pronoun. And it was insane.
So stupid.
It was so stupid. It was so petty. And so my initial thought, because I'm hard-headed, was, oh, I'm just going to respond to every single one of them because maybe that'll get them to shut up. Little did I know that these are crazy people. And so basically they just got more people to come after. And eventually it got to the point where I just had to start blocking a lot of people. And I don't like blocking people, but it came to the point then where it was like, no, this is getting ridiculous. This is becoming awful. And it just was so bizarre. And so some of those people did eventually go to my YouTube and did leave. Only I think 4 or 5 have left comments on random videos. So luckily it was pretty easy to take care of those comments, but it was awful. Like it was, I mean, I know that I've been in back and forth on Twitter before. I've never been mobbed like that before. It was very weird.
But I just muted the conversation and moved on. But it's like, so the guy is one of the actors who's rumored to play a live action as Ezra Bridger, right? And so I followed him. Probably should have known. He's a Hollywood guy, so should have known what I was in for. And and of course, he posted something horrible about Trump being sick, and I was like, you should probably never play a Jedi, because you're a horrible person. Yeah. And I think then I retweeted you what he had said about the president being sick. I was like, this is just so uncool. And it's just trying to first of all, the people who are like pro pronouns are normally not trans people. Yeah. So, it's funny how people get lumped them in together. Yeah. It's like, no, these are usually just people trying to virtue signal, show how woke they are. And I don't know. But
it's exactly what our queen has been going through, because she refused to bow to that mob, right? And she's been clear saying, I'm not against you at all. I'm not against the use of pronouns or anything like that, but I'm not going to do it because you tell me to, and I'm not going to bow down to the mob. And she's been awesome with it. And so basically that's what I felt like, because she also got attacked because just, and as you said, it wasn't by, necessarily trans people. It was by this crazy mob, these pronoun police that say, if you don't agree with us and don't do exactly what we say, that means you're a bigot. And it's no, that's not how this works. It's like that commercial with Facebook. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Which is still my favorite commercial to this day with Facebook and old people. It's just fantastic. And speaking of, yeah, go ahead.
The crazy thing is, like, because I'm in the LGBT community, my daughter works at a gay center. So, I know a lot of, probably more trans people than anybody, in this conversation. And it's like they're trying to go from one gender to another. But then you have this entire other group of people who are like, okay, genders don't exist, and there are 26 genders, and all the trans people are like, no, I was born a man, and I'd really like to be a woman, So it's like, yeah, there are genders, and there are differences, and, it's like the two groups really don't fight very openly, but I know a lot of trans people who are just like, this whole pronouns thing, it's nice that everybody's being considered, but that is like the least of my worries, It's like, I'm trying to not be discriminated against at work, and I've had problems with people on the street or people in bars, and it's just like they have a lot of violence because of confusion, and just some people are not very knowledgeable about what that whole situation is. It's like the words that you put on your Twitter name, it's like, okay, that's nice, but that's not really the focus of what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting how there seems to be this division, right, between essentially what we describe as the binary versus the non-binary, right? And that it seems that the people that are usually going through it are the ones that still believe very much in this binary mindset, right? That it's one or the other, versus this new mob, which says, oh, no, there are 65 different kinds, and they're more every single day, and that's where we've gotten the deer spirits, right? Someone could be a deer spirit non-binary, right? and you get to the point where you're like, okay, no, this is getting too much, right? Because as you said, right, there is clear, right, based in just biology, there's clearly two, and then there are these very, very, very rare cases, right, where someone could potentially be born with both sets of genitalia, but they have it where either one trait will definitely overcome the other, and also neither of their genitalia actually work properly, right? So they can't procreate, for instance. But no one's talking about those people, right? If we were talking about true people that are what's called intersex, I think that's a great discussion to have, because it's a very complicated one. Like, how do you define someone that is born in that way? I think that is a good discussion, and that's what we should be focusing on. But we've gotten so far into the weeds now where it's like 65. And so one of the persons posted a picture and says there's 65 genders, and every time you whine and complain, we add 5 more. And my point was, so you're admitting that you're just making this up. Because if you're adding 5 every time, then they're... It's crazy.
Hey, Mr. Roy's here.
What's going on, Mr. Roy? How's it going, good sir?
Oh.
Hello.
There he is.
Hi.
He's like, why is everybody looking at me all of a sudden? Trying to sneak into this chat, and all of a sudden everybody's like yelling my name. But I mean, that's always been a thing. I mean, there's always been women who were a little more butch, and there's always been guys who are a little more feminine. And it's like, I know plenty of guys who don't identify with the whole like macho thing, but not everything has to be like categorized and subcategorized and sectioned off. It's like just let people do their thing. Just let people do. And that's like,
because that's been my thing. No, it's a good point. It's a good point to make, because I feel like people don't openly talk about this enough, And so for anyone watching, if this is not the discussion you wanted to hear, I think it's important to have this discussion, because no one's having it, right? Because it's on Twitter, it's all use pronouns, etc. And it's insane. But no, you're absolutely right, because, and that's the point I always try to make, is that no, gender and sex are both very much interconnected with each other, right? There is one or the other. Gender roles, though, that is fluid, right? Just because you're the man in a relationship does not mean that you have to be necessarily the breadwinner, right? Just because you're one or the other doesn't mean anything. You know, there's this mindset too of, oh, in gay relationships, right, that one has to be more masculine where the other has to be more feminine, but that's not true. I mean, so it's just interesting that people then try and say, oh, well, that's because there's different genders, instead of it simply being, oh, no, those gender roles that change, that can, you know, be fluid, right? And I think that is where the fluidity actually is the role in which one plays in a relationship or in society or in culture, but not the actual biological, because that's where it gets into the weeds, is where people start to kind of conflate gender role versus biology, which just, it's a dangerous game to play.
Well, it's like your chromosomes make your body make certain hormones. And based on those hormone levels, I mean, that's why you have some people who, you know, are in different areas of the spectrum of femininity, right? Yeah. And it's like, well, how can you say that biology and being a woman are not linked to each other? I mean, I get really insulted when people say, I feel like being a woman, therefore I am a woman. It's like, well, hey, more power to you. Call yourself whatever you want. But, you know, me as a woman, that's a lifetime of experiences and, you know, dealing with hormones and being treated differently because of, you know, my particular, you know, sex, whether male or female. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, okay, I understand if you want to be a woman. I don't really understand why it's so difficult. But yeah, you know, I know. It's like, obviously this is important to you because it is difficult to be a woman in this society. So, you know, you do you, but then you're forcing me to say you are a woman when you haven't experienced 90% of what I have. It's like, if you want to try to be that, more power to you. Yeah. And I'm there for you. I'll help you try to get along in this world, because it's not easy. Yeah. And I like what you said earlier too, about the mindset of, you know, you kind of like, you do you, boo, right? And I feel very much the same way, because, you know, obviously I come from a moral perspective, you know, based in Roman Catholicism, but at the same time, even with that viewpoint, we still very much believe that you have free will, that you have the ability to make these choices, right? And so therefore, if this is the way that you feel, right, I could talk about the morality of it, but at the end of the day, I can't force you to do anything. And so I totally agree, right? It's this mindset of, hey, no, you still have the ability and the right to do whatever it is. I don't think a government should come in. I don't think even the church should come in and say, oh, no, we got to separate you, or, oh, we got to force you to do something that you don't want to do, right? And I just think that it's interesting that, you know, people conflate having different moral principles with being hateful or bigoted or anything. It's like, no, you know, it's all based in love, right? All of us here, like, we're all based in love. We love other people, and it's all about trying to find that level of respect for the other person. And it's sad because these Twitter mobs are the ones that are destroying any chance of conversation. I mean, people who hate religious people, I mean, there's a constant balance. When my grandfather was a Baptist preacher, so you know, there was this constant balance between, you know, focus on yourself. You know, the Bible tells us a number of times, it's like, you know, don't worry about what your neighbor's doing. You know, it's important to keep your neighbor in line as far as, you know, not doing anything illegal. But it's like, Jordan Peterson's big on that too. Yeah. It's like, you know, focus on yourself first, clean your room. What everybody else is doing, that you're not paying focus on, like environmentalism or whatever else, getting in people's faces about things. You know, and it's you know, even though I'm not religious today. I mean, I can imagine not being raised without that religious teaching. Yeah, and Laura, you are cutting out just a little bit every now and then. So. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's okay. No, it wasn't bad enough. We were still being able to hear and understand it, but I just wanted to let you know that was what was going on. So. I'll turn my Wi-Fi on. Are you using the data? Yeah, it's usually, there's so many people in the house. It's sometimes the wireless gets a little
That makes
It's
sense.
a little crazy.
That makes sense. But no, yeah, I totally agree. You know, it's definitely this balancing act that needs to be done, right? And I think that it's so very important for us to always keep that in mind. You know, it's again at the end of the day, no matter what your background is, no matter what religion you're a part of, it's about love, right? That's what the key message is supposed to be. And obviously, that there are things that we can talk about and there's things that we can say, but if it's not coming from a place of love, then it's not genuine, right? So,
Exactly.
yep.
That's the way I was raised. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like if you're going to get involved in somebody else's business, make sure that you're coming at them not from judgment or anger or anything like that.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that was a good discussion. Again, I think it's important to have those kinds of discussions because we're not getting that on Twitter. So to any of the people that might be watching who may have been in the Twitter spat last night, you see that's the kind of discussion that could be had if one was willing and open to have a discussion instead of calling people bigots because they don't support the whole pronoun stuff going on Twitter and don't think that's the rule that everyone has to follow. But anyway, yeah, Mr. Roy, man, so you're here. How's it going? How you been?
I'm doing pretty good.
Mr. Roy's like,
Always
what did I come into the middle of?
But I love Mr. Roy because he's succinct and he's to the point. So let's go ahead and go through it. What you've been watching, Mr. Roy? Anything that you've been finding that's been entertaining, been keeping your interest since the last time we talked?
I've only been able to catch a few things. One of them I caught was an anime called Akira.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had a limited release at the movies,
Mhm.
and they basically transferred it to 4K. So I went and saw it, and it's really good.
Oh yeah, I saw an ad for that. I know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's when I looked it up, it's one of the first animes that really got people in the US and interested in animes. And yeah, it's a beautiful film. I mean, the transfer's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I recommend it. It is a really violent anime, so I'll warn, it's an R-rated movie.
Mhm.
So I'll always warn people about that. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I recommend it.
Nice. Yeah, I remember seeing the ad for that too, and because it recently got a 4K transfer, and so they did that limited release into theaters. And something tells me the limited part might not last or might not stick because there's nothing playing, and so that limited release might become a much longer limited release because of that very reason. But yeah, I was not a huge fan of Akira. That was actually a film we watched on one of our movie streams. I think it was last summer. It was one of the movie streams that we had, and I love the animation. The animation was beautiful. Like that was just easy to say and point out that it was beautiful. But I just the story was very part of it just got very confusing for me personally.
Yeah, mostly the middle part's really confusing to watch.
Yeah.
So the guy that did the movie did a series of mangas. So basically, it's the first half of the first manga and then the last half of the sixth part. So there's this big middle section that's missing from the movie.
Mm.
So it's really hard to keep up, especially when you get to the middle part. They start just throwing out random crap, and you're like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
It's only the beginning and the end I think is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And yeah, Bruce is in the chat. I want to say that was a film that Bruce sent me. It may have been one of the first films that Bruce sent me on Blu-ray. So shout out to Bruce for sending me that and sending me a bunch of things also since that time as well. All right, so Akira, seeing that back on the big screen. Anything else that you've been able to see?
I watched a American Werewolf in London
Okay.
Oh, wow.
for the first time.
Yeah, what are your
it's-
thoughts?
That's really good.
Nice.
Yeah,
The special
It's-
effects, especially for that time.
Yeah.
yeah. The
were
special
really
effects
impressive.
and the makeup, man, it's really good. It's sad that they don't do that type of effects these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting too because they do. I want to say they actually have some of those kinds of effects in what was the movie called? Van Helsing, actually, with Hugh Jackman. Because I remember going to Universal Studios and I remember that they had this, like, it was a monster horror makeup show, and it's like a comedy show where they have someone that comes in to explain how they do classic Hollywood horror effects. And at the time, the newest film that had been released by them that had, monster effects in it had been Van Helsing. And so they actually have videos showing some of the transformations they did. Now, a lot of it was also CGI. And of course, CGI was bleh. But they also had some practical effects too, though. And it was also cool to see that. But yeah, American Werewolf in London is a film I've actually not seen. I own it, but I know of it simply because of those practical effects and how amazing they were.
Yeah, the guy that did those, his name's Rick Baker. He's apparently won 7 Oscars.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, he's very good.
So he's done American Werewolf. He's done Harry and the Hendersons.
I love that movie.
Yeah, me too.
He did Ed Wood, The Nutty Professors, Men in Black,
Oh, wow.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the one with Jim Carrey,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
so
then
so funny.
that the Wolfman movie.
Oh, gosh. The one with Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, he won an Oscar for that one too.
Yeah. You know what's amazing is that movie won an Oscar because of the makeup, which I think it deserved because the makeup was pretty damn awesome. The costuming and makeup was awesome. However, the movie I'm sure I think Tina remembers the film too. It's just not good. Just not a good movie. And the only thing I can remember from the Benicio del Toro version of Wolfman is the scene where all of a sudden he just goes, "I will kill all of you." And it's just over the top. Oh man, but gosh.
The only thing I could say it's bad about it would probably be the editing and there's also a lot of nudity in the movie.
Yeah, it's just something was off. But that's amazing though. I mean, because you mentioned like Harry and the Hendersons, great classic film. It's been so long since I've seen it, but I love it. And yeah, I mean, it's sad because we should, and I hope we had more people like that. And I want to say the closest TV show we've had to that recently were the people that worked on Swamp Thing. Because I've mentioned that before. Swamp Thing's practical effects, the suits that they built for the creature, holy crap, brilliant, amazing.
I gotta write that down. You keep talking about that, and I just keep trying to remember this.
Oh,
before I
yeah.
watch it.
It's one of those things where the show it's not going to be for everyone. It's not perfect. However, I think it's worth it just for that practical effects with the monster alone. It's so amazing what they were able to do with it.
Well, you've seen the movie like with Adrienne Barbeau, right?
I haven't. I have it because I want to
Oh.
say that's another Bruce movie that was sent to me. I just have not had a chance to watch it yet.
I mean, it's pretty. It's one of those. It's so bad, it's good. We used to watch it and laugh. And I mean, I don't know. That's an interesting creature. The Swamp Thing creature.
Yeah,
And a
absolutely.
cartoon, not a cartoon, a comic, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So Akira and American Werewolf in London. Anything else that you've been able to watch, Mr. Roy?
That's basically it. I hadn't had much time to watch stuff lately.
Okay. I feel the same way. I've been watching a lot of stuff with my wife because we're trying to watch as much stuff together because it's it's getting very close to when all of our time will have to be on another human being instead of on us. And so I've been trying to spend as much time with her as possible with that. And so we've been watching Vampire Diaries because she had never seen them before, and of course I had, and that's a whole other story. Vampire Diaries. It's not good, but it's definitely a guilty pleasure. That's for sure.
My stylist tried to get me to watch it, and I was like, "Oh, CW, I can't."
That show went off the cliff like really quickly. I think it was. I don't know if it was just the first and second season that were really good.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At some point, like the lead actors were dating, and then they broke up, and then you could just like see the awkwardness on the screen.
Yep.
And she did an interview, and she was like, "Yeah, it's great to have to go out and like make out with your ex-boyfriend every day. That's really awesome."
Yep, I remember that, and it's so great though because there's certain episodes you can watch and you can say, "Oh, this is when they had broken up and they were still making them get together," and yeah. That's another reason why you should never have what's called a showmance, because one, they're doomed to fail. One, they're doomed to fail, and two, you might have to work with that person again, and it could get very awkward very quickly.
I like the sequel to that show, the originals. It was set in New Orleans. It was a much better show.
Yeah, our plan is to finish this show, to finish Vampire Diaries, move then to originals, and actually there's technically a newer show too called Legacies. and it follows like kids of some of the characters, and Alaric is featured in it as well, as I think like kind of like the lead adult. And he's one of my favorite characters from Vampire Diaries because just great character, great actor that plays him too. So I think that's our plan, is to watch those things. But yeah, with that being said, though, what have you been watching, Laura?
Oh, me? Let's see. I finished The Boys last night finally.
Okay, yeah. What do you think of the season so far?
Oh, it's I don't know. It's a lot. I mean, that final episode was wow. I don't want to spoil anything though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's kind of like a thrill ride. It's just every episode you're just like, I can't believe that just happened. Oh my.
So you just finished season 1.
No, season 2.
Oh, okay,
so
season 2.
Yeah. Watched them all.
Isn't it still going?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's still.
I didn't think it had ended yet because I'm caught up. So I was like,
Yeah,
I didn't think it had ended, but
Yes, Stephanie said no spoilers.
yeah.
I mean, it's good that they can like mock the whole superhero thing, but it's still somewhat serious.
Yeah.
You know, these are still people like risking their lives to fight for and my favorite character is actually the Deep. I don't know why. I think I just like the actor so much.
Okay.
But, you know,
Chase Crawford, yeah.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know, when you know, he's going through all of the stuff. It feels legit. It doesn't feel like him or the actor or the character. It's not the actor or the character. It doesn't feel like the character's really faking it. You know, he's one of those guys who's always been, you know, super successful and just kind of gotten whatever he wants, and then, you know, life comes and smacks you in the face. You know, it's like how you deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree too. I think the character is, you know, is kind of this very balanced character, right? Because you start off and you have this opinion of him because he does this terrible thing. And now, like, as it's been going on, it kind of reminds me a lot of ways of, you know, it's very different, right? These characters are not the same, but there's these similar journeys where, you know, it reminded me of Game of Thrones, where you had Jaime Lannister, right? You start out hating him because he's despicable, but then as the story goes on, you realize, oh, there's a lot more to him than I originally thought. And I feel like that's what the Deep's gone through too, right? Is that you think of him as being despicable because he does this terrible thing, and then all of a sudden you see more of his behind the scenes story and you say, oh, there's more to him here too. It's interesting.
Well, this isn't too much of a spoiler, but the scene that really got me was when he was in the mirror and he was breaking down and shaving his head.
Yeah.
You know, something about that, he just was, it's like, I'm trying to get away from who I used to be so much that I'm just going to shave off all my hair. And,
yeah.
You know, I think we've all been there. It's like, you've done things bad in your past and it's like, God, anything to get away from what I used to be. Maybe,
yeah,
you know, maybe this will be something.
Yeah. And that's why his character is very real. You know, it's a very real character. It's a character I think a lot of people can relate to, even though we don't have, you know, gills and can talk to fish and everything. By the way, also, that's another great thing is that they very much are playing on the fact that he is essentially Aquaman, and how that essentially, in the traditional sense of Aquaman, makes him like the butt of the jokes, because they're like, oh, what can you do? Just talk to fish. And like, it's just, I love the stuff that they're able to do with that as well, because it reminds me a lot of just the traditional thought of Aquaman in general.
Yeah, it's you know, or they give him a goldfish, and he's like all emotional about it. He's like talking to the goldfish.
He knows my name.
Oh my God. Oh, he talks to the lobster. He goes to the grocery store and he's like, hey man, I'll get you out of here. Just hold on. They do a lot of humorous stuff.
It's just so funny. It's just so good. And yeah, and speaking of the Game of Thrones references and connections, again, no spoilers for the latest episode, but let's just say, kind of reminded me a little bit, again, not exactly the same, but a little bit of like Red Wedding-esque, where it's just like that. You're just like, in mostly just the feeling, because you see it happening and you're just like, oh my gosh, is this what's going on? Like, it's just the feeling that you had when you watched the Red Wedding. It's the same kind of feeling you have. It's not that the same thing happens really, but it's just, it's so good. So watch episode 7.
It was great editing with all the reaction shots, because you go around and you see everybody else reacting to what's going on, and
Yeah.
they're just as shocked as you. You're just like, oh my god, what is going on here? But yeah,
Absolutely.
all the characters have that same depth. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't know if Eric Kripke wrote this, but that's one of Eric Kripke's hallmarks, like with the Supernatural, is you have these, like, even the smallest side character has a lot of depth and a lot of they're, you know, interesting facets. You know, nobody's like 100% good or 100% bad.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little messed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not like Homelander messed up. Homelander's on another level.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's just like
If just when you thought that, you know, again, it's on the brain right now, but he very much reminds me of what's his name? He was the most hated character for a long time in Game of Thrones. Ramsay. He reminds me a lot of Ramsay, where it's just like psychotic, right? It's just this psychotic personality. And you're just like, I would never mess with this person ever. I would never cross this person ever in my life.
Well, you can tell how terrified everybody is of him. It's like he walks in a room and everybody just immediately like stiffens up, like, oh my god.
And yes,
Why is he here?
Peter Hahn, yes, Hot Pie. That's exactly who I was talking about. Not
From left field. And the great John Noble made an appearance. That was awesome.
Yeah, his accent was interesting though. I
didn't catch that yet.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out because he was doing that Cockney accent, and I was like, I don't know if that, but I do love seeing him. He's a great actor. So
that's the other thing Kripke does, is he's great with the classic music. He's playing all of the the London punk rock, the Clash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whenever what's her name? Butcher? Whenever Butcher's on the scene.
Speaking of Carl Urban, I mean, if there's a lot of issues that I could see people having with the show, with some of the commentary that it has. But if there's anything that makes everything worth it, it's every time Carl Urban's on screen, because I just love that character so much, just because I love his just deep, I guess, Cockney-esque accent that he has. It's just so great. I love listening to it.
Butcher. He's always like drinking shots and looking angry and hasn't shaved forever. And
it reminds me a little bit about, I think the film was called I Spy, and the character was played by Jason Statham. And the whole shtick that Jason Statham's character had was, "Oi, I'm going to go over there, and then I'm going to beat you up. And then after I beat you up, I'm going to call your mother. And then after I call your mother, I'm going to take her out to dinner. And then after I take her out to dinner, I'm never going to call her again." Like, that's like kind of the personality that, but that's what Butcher reminds me of in a lot of ways, where it's just like this, "Oi, I'm going to beat you up, and I'm just going to keep," like, it just, I love it. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, we had a whole stream about, I was texting you Jason Statham quotes from that movie while you were on the stream. My wife, she fell out of a plane, and then she was hit by another plane. And she survived. She landed on a volcano.
That's actually a really funny movie. If you've never seen I Spy, it actually, it stars, what's her name?
Melissa McCarthy. It's one of those movies that I think is very well suited for Melissa McCarthy's type of comedy. Oh yeah, she's awesome. Yeah. Well, I don't know, some of her stuff. I think that Ghostbusters killed her career. Actually, I don't. Yeah, I would say that's a fair shout, and it makes sense as to why it would. I mean, it's not a good movie. Oh, I got good news. The wife is making hamburgers and tater tots for lunch. So this is going to be awesome.
Now, is it on a grill?
She might be using. We have an indoor grill, it's called a Farberware, I think is what it's called. Let's see. No, it is clear outside. It is a possibility.
Nothing like a nice grilled burger.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pick it up.
So
tater tots are clever.
Napoleon, give me some of your tots.
No, man. My friend walked out of that movie. I was sitting there by myself. I was like,
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah,
they walked out of it.
I could see that. Yeah. I could see that. That's a love-hate movie. It's either you love the movie or you hate the movie, and I could totally understand either position, because it just makes sense.
I was just sitting there like, "Kelly," she's like, "I'm out of here." I was like, "Okay." I guess I'll talk to you later.
And there you are sitting there saying, "I'm enjoying this. I don't know what you found."
I know. I was like, better without her anyway.
So
she was weird.
Yeah. So you've been watching anything else?
Not really. I was looking to going to the movies, but I don't know. Tenet is. I didn't like the first. I wanted to say Incognito, but that's not right. What was the first?
Oh, Unhinged.
Oh no, I do want to see that.
Mhm.
I'm actually looking forward
Okay.
to seeing Unhinged. The never mind. My brain's not working today.
Oh,
I'm not even gonna try.
Infidel?
No, the guy who did Tenet did another movie which I didn't care for.
Interstellar?
No, where they're sleeping and they keep sleeping and
Inception.
going.
Insomnia.
Inception.
Okay, Inception. Okay. I was like, it's either Insomnia or it's Inception. Okay, Inception.
Yeah, where they keep going different levels.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
sleeping,
yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know.
Yeah, and if you don't like Inception or if you find Inception confusing, Tenet is going to just like it's no. It's just I love Tenet. I also love Inception though, but it's just if you don't like Inception, I don't see how anyone could then like Tenet because Tenet is even more complicated than Inception.
Too much exposition. It's like, okay.
Yeah. As Alice McCarthy says, Dark Knight Rises. Yes, exactly. Dark Knight Rises. Where everyone is sleeping. Yes. Yes.
I don't know why. It's like my brain knows on the weekends. It's like it's okay to cut off now, and we'll re-engage on Monday at 8 a.m. It's like, sometimes on the weekend I'll try to come up with stuff. It's just like forget it.
By the way, we got 61 people watching, and
What?
that's like a record for our Sunday. So thank you for being here, everybody, and please smash that like button. It really does mean a lot.
Yeah, no pressure, Tina, Mr. Roy. No pressure at all.
They all came for the talk on pronouns and the boys and
Vampire Diaries.
Exactly. It was the Vampire Diaries. That's what brought them in.
10-year-old vampire TV shows.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, that's great. But yeah, I recommend again just going back to it. The Boys. It's just a lot of fun. And yeah, again, there's some political stuff in there, but it had the political stuff already in the original comic, from what I've been told. So it's not like they're adding the stuff necessarily to change the story at all. In fact, I think it's interesting how Stormfront in the original comic is a white male. And in this version, it's a white female. And I think that to me is a change that kind of is in this. It's twisting things on its head so much that you think it's going to push certain agenda points, but then you remember, but no, they could have done this easily with a white male, but instead they made it a white female. And I think that change actually has an impact on how we view the story. At least that's what I think.
The word Stormfront, that was like the Nazis' first official website.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, I've heard that before.
That's
and
interesting.
I Googled it. I was like, oh, that's right.
Makes sense with the character.
I thought it was a newspaper, but I guess it was their first website. So
Okay.
yeah, everybody was saying that they think that. Oh shoot, I don't know if I could say that. That's a spoiler. I'll
Okay.
text it to you later.
Okay, cool. And Teddy Deck says something that in context is actually disturbing. Teddy Deck says, Stormfront in the comic was also Homelander's father, he thinks. That's a weird change for them to make if that was indeed the case, because from Homelander's father, it becomes Homelander's lover. And that's kind of a... Yeah, it's an interesting change that they decide to make if that is the case.
Yeah, if you're put off by graphic violence and sex and nudity, this is not the show for you.
Yeah, absolutely, right? Kind of like it's that Game of Thrones thing, right? It's just like this is a hard R show, and if that's not your thing, then stay away from it if you can.
No, I'm thoroughly enjoying it though. I recommend it to my sister, and she was like, "I'll put it on the list,"
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And before we get to Tina, I just want to shout out some people because there've been some tags and such in the chat. So let's show some love to the chat. By the way, everybody, if you've not been on these Sunday streams before, the Chosen of Valhalla streams, the focus is going to be on the Chosen of Valhalla. And so I might not be able to address every single person and comment in the chat. Of course, if you donate or super chat, then obviously we will address you because, again, it's only fair to do so. It's not that I'm saying that you have to donate. It's just that because of time and my ability to focus, it just is for the best all around. So first off, I need to shout out Drunk 3PO, who stopped by earlier. So Drunk 3PO, thank you very much for stopping by. I do appreciate you being there. Bruce then says, Odin, I just checked the list. Yes, it was one of the first ones that I sent you, talking about Akira. I thought it was. I thought that was one of the first movies that you sent me. Andrew Hoyle says that he loves Harry and the Hendersons. Yes, indeed. Such a great movie. Andrew Hoyle then says, Swamp Thing was pretty good. Shame it got canceled before it even begun. I agree, Andrew Hoyle. It's a show that it's interesting because Swamp Thing is going through exactly what Cobra Kai is going through right now, right? Everyone all of a sudden now is discovering Cobra Kai because now it's on Netflix. And here I am saying, I watched this thing like 6 months ago when it first came out. And because obviously it was on YouTube Red and then YouTube Premium, and now it's, of course, gone over to Netflix. And then Swamp Thing has been out for a while, too, because it was on the DC streaming service, and eventually it's now being pushed out onto CW. But that makes me happy because I hope that now that more people are going to be able to watch it, that hopefully more of them fall in love with it, and we can get some type of grassroots fan campaign to try and get them to bring it back, especially with HBO Max having been launched. I think Swamp Thing would fit very well on HBO Max. Alice McCarthy says, I love Vampire Diaries. Oh, now I start to question everything. Well, I guess I can't like it anymore because, it's. I will say this much. I don't think it's a good, objectively good show. However, the lore, the history with it is great because it's legit vampires with some pretty cool, the variations they make are actually good ones. I think that they work. There's really cool stuff they do with the history of witches, obviously they do werewolves also. There's this thing with hybrids. Like, there's so many cool elements. The high school drama, okay, I can do without that crap. Like, high school drama, whatever. But the actual lore, to me, is actually pretty well done. And that's why I enjoy it for the most part. Andrew Hoyle says, have you had the chance to watch Fatima yet? He says he finally watched it with the good lady wife. I like that, the good lady wife. And it had a very profound effect on us. That's awesome, Andrew. Yeah, I've not been able to because it's hard for me to justify the video on demand prices. It's just, I just have never really been behind the video on demand prices. But it is a movie I do want to watch because I hear that it is pretty accurate to the story. And for those who are not aware, there's, that's the event where you had the event where the sun danced in the sky and 70,000 people witnessed it. And it's something that actually got even reported in local news. And it's one of these miracles that people still can't explain. And it converted a lot of people. Alice McCarthy says, Legacies is good. Now I'm concerned. Alex, gosh, man, just killing everything. Jeff says, how do you think hashtag re-release Alita campaign went? Well, I know that the Alita campaign has just gotten the confirmation that Cinemark and Regal will have the film get released. However, news broke last night that Regal is closing. Regal theaters are closing in the United States and in the UK. Not permanently, but potentially not until 2021 will they reopen. So that means only Cinemark will show Alita, and there aren't a lot of Cinemarks. So again, it's good that it's getting a re-release. It's good that more people will be able to watch it. But as I said last night on the stream, I don't think it's going to be enough to push it forward as far as financials go. And at the end of the day, it's all up to James Cameron, who, again, is off in Pandora Land for the next 10 years.
I've got something to say about James Cameron, too. When you get to
Ooh.
Is it going to be spicy, Tina?
Well,
It better be.
I got this from Critical Drinker. He dropped a video this morning about the making of The Abyss.
Oh, yeah. I saw that video drop.
It was pretty interesting. I was like, holy crap, this guy really loves water movies and he likes to torture his actors.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
He almost died and he almost killed some of the actors in the movie.
Oh my goodness. For The Abyss?
Yeah, for The
my
Abyss.
Gosh.
And Cameron, I kind of wonder if the person that was supposed to be watching him was kind of teed off and was like, "Hey, if he dies, he dies. He's put us all through this stuff."
It's very Drago.
'Cause they Drinker said that Cameron, he's underwater. Oh, bye, Hypern. Hypern's got to go.
Okay.
He said that I guess Cameron's underwater and he's setting up his shots, and the idiot doesn't realize his tank doesn't have that much oxygen in it. So he's trying to like get the attention of the guy who is supposed to monitor stuff when you're going, "Help me." This guy's eardrums, I think, had been blown out because of some other stuff Cameron had done. So he doesn't hear anything. And then the guy that's supposed to be the rescuer, he's like, la-di-da-di-da-di-da. So
Twiddling
Cameron,
the thumbs.
of course, Cameron manages to get out. He fires these two guys, but I think Ed Harris will not even talk about the movie anymore.
Wow.
I think he came close to a nervous breakdown. And Mary Elizabeth Master Antonio, which I don't even know if you've even seen her in a movie anymore. I think she had a breakdown. I was just like, oh my gosh. And then he's like, "Yeah, I'll probably never make another water movie. Hello, Titanic." So, and I know the hell they went through making Titanic. I've talked to people who worked on it with him, but I was like, oh my gosh, the abyss. But somebody in his comments said that actors need to be put through that kind of hell. That way they'd stay off Twitter. I said, I almost agree with that. If they're working 25 out of 24 hours a day, they have no time to be on Twitter. And it's like, yeah. Eric von Stroheim sent his 2 stars because he was the director when they made Greed. They were out in Death Valley. And it's over 100 degrees out there. And when the 2 leads are going at each other, von Stroheim is shouting at them, "Go at each other, pretend like you're killing each other, like you'd want to kill me."
Gosh. I always love hearing these stories because it makes you appreciate a film more sometimes, or it makes you go, "Oh, this is now an entirely different way to view the movie," because now when I see this anger and hatred on screen, I know it's real. Because sometimes the directors will be able to get that actual real emotion out of their actors.
Yes.
Did they say where the abyss was filmed? Because that doesn't matter.
Yeah, Laura, they said that they found an empty nuclear site that was not, I guess they had been constructing it, but then after, 6 Mile Island? They never finished it.
So, I pulled it up. So, while the movie was filmed in various locations, including California, Missouri, North Carolina, most of the underwater scenes were filmed in an unfinished nuclear reactor facility in Gaffney, South Carolina, at the Cherokee Nuclear Power Plant. Damn.
Well, that explains it because, different states just really don't give a crap about, like, worker safety. If it was in California, I really can't see the studio getting away with putting people in that much danger because Cal OSHA out here is pretty ridiculously strict. But South Carolina, they're probably like, "Just give us your money."
Apologies to anyone from South Carolina for the southern accent. I will never apologize for the UK accents that we do.
Oh my God.
As a North Carolinian, they can suck it because South Carolina is a dumpster heap of a state, and I take nothing back.
Wow.
Tell us how you really feel.
And I thought I hated Kentucky.
I know, right? We're all about love on this show. We're all about love, and
yes.
Bless their hearts, as we say.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah. You're lucky you're so pretty.
It's like when you see that play and it's really bad. Oh, y'all had so much fun. Y'all had so much fun. Was it good? Oh, y'all had fun. That's the important thing.
Oh, and what was that comment you made? What did you review? And you said, well, I think it was Mulan. And you said, well, the music was good. And it's like, oh no, that means it's going to be trash.
Yep. I was like, well, the score was good. That's about all I can say. All right. Lord Toth, it was the green and orange outfit. Aquaman is badass until he walks in the room. Yes. I see what you mean by that. That it's the suit that makes him a joke and not necessarily his powers. Super says, I'm super late. Well, Super, I would expect nothing less from you. What's going on, good sir? Alex tags at 247. Good Lord. Surprisingly, I liked Pretty Little Liars. Not woke, and it's like a whodunit.
I know lots of people who love that show.
Yeah.
My friend and her cop dad used to watch it together.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. It definitely is a show that is entertaining at the very least. I can at least give it that much. But McCarthy, dude, you're just.
The book
going
was
on and on.
interesting because we read it in book club a couple of years ago. And when it started, I was like, I'm not going to like this. And by the end, I was like, oh, somebody died. This was really good. So
all I can say about that show is the theme song. Got a secret? Can you keep it?
Oh my gosh.
Man.
I gotta check Tater Tot status. Let me
Yes.
be right back.
Yes. 70B says, I shall return. Well, 70B, I hope the yoga goes well. Jeff talked about that. Let us see. Andrew Hoyle, all of these accents are making my ears bleed. I'm sorry. I'm so very sorry that you did not appreciate the Cockney British accents, good sir. By the way, Andrew Hoyle, thank you for being here from the UK time. Appreciate it, man. N-Fearter has become a member. Thank you very much for joining at the Citizen of Asgard level. I appreciate it very much. Aiden Vickery, what's going on, good sir? He's a member. He says, I think the movie with the Staith was I Spy, I think was Eddie Murphy and one of the Wilson clan. Okay, yes. It was just Spy then. Yes, okay. I knew it had something with Spy in it. I knew that much. Super says, did you know Napoleon Dynamite was made for less than $1 million? Yeah. It's one of the lowest budgeted films, and it made, I want to say it's in a record book somewhere because it made a lot of money in comparison to its budget. It's always funny when you hear people say this is the highest grossing film of all time. Interestingly, if you base it on percentages, films like Paranormal Activity, which cost very little to make, but make, tens of, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, are technically the highest grossing movies as far as percentages go, based on versus its budget. Yeah, Napoleon Dynamite would be one of those films too. Let's see. Alice McCarthy says, hashtag Delena forever. Talking about Damon and Elena. Delena. Aiden Vickery, I came for Odin doing the Staith. Oi, how's it going, mate? And I just triggered all of the British. I triggered at least one in Andrew Hoyle. Much love to Andrew Hoyle. Brian Barth, how's it going, good sir? Andrew Hoyland says, the one dislike is from the non-binary gender fluid Twitter panda. Yes! Yes! Oh, yes.
The smoker's on. The smoker's on.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yes. When the smoker's on, you just know. You're
It's
going to
time
have a
to
good
eat.
time. Yes, absolutely. Filmy Professor, give us an impression of Butcher's Daddy's Home. Daddy's Home. It's the best I got. It's the best I got. So of Billy the Butcher from The Boys saying Daddy's Home. Daddy's Home. It's just, I love Carl Urban. I just can't say that enough. Lord Toad says, I like being green. Chosen. Yes, you are green. Thank you for being a member, dude. Appreciate it. Let us see. Brian Barth, I know you've asked this a couple times, says, what do you think of Apocalypse Now? Are you surprised of how it turned out because of its production difficulties? I know that Tina probably has a lot more knowledge of the Apocalypse Now scenario and situation than I do. However, I'm not surprised that it turned out well because of the director behind it. When it comes to Kubrick, he knows how to make good films.
Coppola.
Oh,
Coppola,
that's right.
old.
Sorry, my bad. Coppola. My bad. Slip of the tongue.
Another lunatic.
Slip of the tongue. But again, both are kind of in that same wheelhouse, though. So at the very least, it wasn't, me saying, Spielberg, right? Where it's very opposite end of the director spectrum.
But at least you can come up with names. My brain's just like, no.
Yeah, and as a fun Latin joke, mea culpa. Where's
Dad jokes
father?
already.
Where's
Getting the
father
dad
when I
jokes
need him?
ready.
He'd appreciate that one. For any Latin people in there, you'll get that joke. Andrew Hoyle, I'm holding out hope for them to bring back the show Wayne like they've done with Cobra Kai. What's Wayne? Anyone seen Wayne?
Wayne.
Is that a Batman show?
Did you mean Gotham? Or wait a minute. Was there a show called Wayne that only got a season on DC, maybe? I don't know.
Don't know.
I don't know. I know there's a Pennyworth, right? But I don't know. Let's see. Jared Mills, what's going on? Jared Mills, also known as J-Rod the Beer Guru over on D-Live, is here on YouTube. So, Jared, thank you for being here, man. Alex McCarthy says, I say nay, nay. I like good things and I like bad things, but I loathe woke things.
Amen to that.
Alex McCarthy, you like terrible things. Let's just be honest here. Okay.
Bless his heart.
Bless your heart. Yeah, exactly. Bless your heart. You tried. General Wingster, Odin defending Vampire Diaries because he secretly is in love with the male leads. Now, I will say Klaus is beautiful. And his accent is gorgeous. Hashtag no shame. Hashtag no shame. Andrew Hoyle says, yep, Cineworld, which is a part of Regal, are closing their cinemas in the UK and Ireland. Yeah, the report was that they are closing, because Cineworld is the company that owns Regal, that they're closing their UK theaters. And the plan, I think, was they were also going to close their American theaters by the end of this coming week, potentially. Andrew Hoyle says, for some reason, when Tina said, help me, all I heard was choke me. Well, interesting.
It's getting interesting.
I kind of want to know what's going on in that brain up there, Andrew. I think he meant that Cameron or one of the other people would have been saying it because they're crazy. I'm assuming. Rob D, my favorite film fun fact is in The Hateful Eight, the guitar that Kurt Russell destroyed was real. Yes, that's right. It was a real antique guitar from the 1800s. And that's actually why, if you've never seen The Hateful Eight, or if you have seen it, you know how, what's her name? The actress that did an amazing job in that supporting role in the film. But anyway, so in the movie, she's playing the song, and then eventually you have Kurt Russell's character pick it up and destroy it. And you see her say, no, and freak out. And you see her turn like she's turning almost to an off-screen person. And it's because she knew it was the 1800s guitar, and that was not the guitar that was, because they had a prop guitar that was supposed to get destroyed. And she realized that he was picking up the 1800s one and destroyed it. And so her reaction was authentic because she was like, no, this is not the one you're supposed to break. And they kept it in because it worked very well.
Wow.
Yeah. Aiden Vickery says, in the water tank they filmed the scenes in For the Abyss, they floated small black plastic balls to block out the sunlight. It was pitch black underwater while filming. Damn.
Ooh, creepy.
That's terrifying. No, thank you. Bruce says, well, I liked Twilight. Well.
Maybe not want to admit that out loud.
Might not be a good thing to admit that one.
Keep that to yourself.
Infurter, who is a new member on the channel, Infurter, thank you again for joining. He says, hashtag Pedro for president 2020. Yes, we need Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite to be president. You want to know why? Because his campaign promise is simple. I'll make all your dreams come true. Yes. And I want all of my dreams to come true. As all of us do, I'm sure. Andrew Hoyle says, no, Wayne was a one-season YouTube show from the guys who made Deadpool. Oh, interesting. And, all right, let's go ahead and if you haven't seen it, Critical Drinker made an awesome video. Yes, we talked about that a little bit. Jennifer Jason Lee, thank you, Bryant Barth. Jennifer Jason Leigh was the actress that had the legitimate freak out when he destroyed the 1800s guitar in The Hateful Eight. Eric Stone, what's going on? Glad to see you here. And boom, we're caught up. So with that being said, Tina, what you been watching?
Oh, let me see. Oh, well, who was it? Asked me something about Apocalypse Now. Cinema Tyler is doing a great documentary on that on his channel. Some of the information I knew, some of it I didn't, but I know one of the things was that they filmed the movie in the Philippines, and there was a revolution going on in the Philippines. There was the communists were trying to take over. So it was like they were using the Philippine military to shoot a lot of the scenes, but if they had to go fight the rebels, off they would go. So Coppola could be in the middle of a shot and like, oh, there go my helicopters. Oh, there go my airplanes. So, and originally the movie was going to be he and some guy named George Lucas were going to go to Vietnam during the war and film footage and call it Apocalypse Now. And then Coppola got involved in some stuff, and George was like, I got a space movie to make. So he vanished. And Coppola just had a lot of issues. His original star was going to be Harvey Keitel. And after they looked at the few rushes, he was like, Keitel's not going to work. And there's controversy as to whether he fired Keitel without like looking at the man face to face and saying it, or whether he went through Keitel's agent. So there's some controversy about that. And then of course they got Martin Sheen, who had a heart attack later in the movie while they were filming it. And Dennis, what's his name, I think was on
Hopper?
drugs during the whole time. Yes, thank you. I think he was on drugs the whole time. It was like Francis would ask him, what do you need? More drugs.
Nobody's surprised by that, by the way.
No. And of course, Brando, who Coppola has given him a script, and Brian, I don't know. I don't think Apocalypse Now broke Coppola. He made a few decent movies after Apocalypse Now, and then he made Godfather 3. So, but yeah, Brando was like, Coppola had asked him, read Hearts of Darkness, the book that the movie's based on, and read the script. And of course, Brando shows up. Well, he ain't read the book and he ain't read the script either. So, it's all that stuff that he's rambling. It's just them putting a camera in front of him and just letting him ramble and then cutting what they could use. So I think the horror, that's ad-libbed by Brando.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm surprised the movie even turned out, because I saw the documentary that Coppola's wife shot while they were filming it. And you see this man, he is slowly going insane making this movie. And then, of course, George Lucas, I mean, as an afterthought, he's like, oh, well, I could have brought Apocalypse Now in under this amount of money and all that. And it's like, yes, but George, would it have been the Apocalypse Now we know now?
Probably not.
Or would have been, I don't know.
Yeah.
So don't tell me, well, you could have brought it in under whatever Coppola spent. That's not the issue here. So yeah, if you ever get a chance, look at the documentary Hearts of Darkness by Coppola's wife.
I have the Apocalypse Now collection, and
so it should be on there.
And it comes with the original film, what's called Apocalypse Now Redux,
yeah.
And then it's called, I think the documentary is Hearts of Darkness, right?
Hearts of Darkness, yeah, which is the title of the Joseph Conrad novel.
Yeah.
But there is one scene, it cracked me up when it shows up in Redux. It's the scene where they end up at the French plantation, which of course Coppola is like showing Vietnam going from the Americans getting involved to when the French were involved, and going all the way back almost to like a primitive Vietnam. And you see him on the set when they're shooting the French scene, and he's saying, "We will never talk about this again." And it pops up in Redux, and I'm like, Francis, I thought we were never going to talk about it again. Why is it here? Of course, Francis is listening to me, you know. Oh my gosh. And Lord Thoth was asking me something. And yeah, Super Anime Gamer is right. I mean, Brando was enormous weight-wise when Apocalypse Now got made. And I mean, it doesn't even look like the same actor from just a few years before in the first Godfather movie. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Brando, all he wanted to do was stay on his island over in Tahiti or wherever. Oh my gosh. Lord Thoth, I like all the versions. I think the last version I saw of Apocalypse Now was the director's cut. My brother has all the versions in our Vudu account, so I kind of jump back and forth with it. But anyway, you asked me what I'd seen, what I've been looking at. Okay, sorry, somebody had to ask me about Apocalypse Now. You know?
Yeah, I know the 4K includes all three versions, so if someone buys the 4K, it'll have all of them in there.
Yeah, I'm looking over at my collection to see if I can see the version that I have. Where is it? I'll go grab it. Tina, continue.
Yes. Okay, I haven't seen that many movies since our last stream, but I broke them down from my 2 stars and up. So thankfully this time I only saw one movie that I rated 2 stars. And it's a movie called The Scarlet Car. And the only reason why I looked at it was because the great Lon Chaney Sr. was in it. I just didn't realize he was only going to be in it about 10 or 15 minutes. So I think it was fairly early on in his career before he became established. But the movie, all I could say at the end was, wow, we almost had a tar and feathering. And that's the shoutiest bit of police work I've ever seen in my life. So it was fairly lame. So and then my 3-star movies, I saw Death on the Nile. Again, this is the 78 version with Peter Ustinov. And it's kind of nice seeing all these Poirots and trying to compare them. I'm still kind of shaky about Kenneth Branagh's. I don't know that he has Poirot down the way I visualize him and the way that David Suchet played him in the BBC series. But
I like the BBC series.
I'm sorry, Laura?
I like the BBC series.
I do too. Yeah. I do too. I mean, when I saw Branagh, I was like, there's nothing wrong with his performance. It's just I don't know that he's Hercule Poirot. You know, and his mustache, I do kind of like it. So, but Peter Ustinov, he was okay. Movie's got David Niven, Jack Warden, Betty Davis, Mia Farrow, Maggie Smith, Angela Lansbury. She's drunk the entire movie.
Did you just say that Dame Maggie Smith is in this movie?
Dame Maggie Smith, and she and Betty Davis, I think she's supposed to be Betty Davis's maid, but the two of them just keep wishing death on each other. It's like, oh, I have a slight call. Oh, I hope you die from that, darling. You know, this sort of thing. It's really funny. So since I had seen the movie before, it was kind of cool sitting there and seeing how the murder was carried out. And you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And by the end of it, we had 5 bodies. So that was probably a record. So saw that. I saw a 1914 D.W. Griffith biblical epic called Judith of Bethulia. And I had never seen this one before. The Dorothy and Lillian Gish are in it, but I don't think they were famous then, so they're kind of background players. Blanche Sweet, who was in that movie I told you all about, I think last month, the guy that gets accused of murder, and he and the daughter go off to Gilligan's Island to hide. I wasn't really fond of her performance, but I mean, for what she was doing, she was okay. Her name is Blanche Sweet. But the story is based on an apocryphal biblical story. Judith is a widow. The Assyrians, I guess, or the Babylonians, I'll just call them the bad guys. They go to attack this outpost town that's near Jerusalem. They take over the town. They starve the people. People are hungry and everything. Judith, who is a beautiful widow, decides she is going to sacrifice herself in the best way I guess a woman can. She's going to use her sex appeal. So she goes to the commanding officer, and she kind of falls in love with him, but then she's like, no, my people are suffering. I have to do something. So if you look up paintings of Judith, because this has been a subject that many artists have done, you will see what she did to the commanding officer. And it's kind of interesting because I was like, are they actually going to show this? And they kind of show it and they kind of don't, but you get the impression of it. I was like, they actually went there. Okay. The battle scenes were okay. I saw a few extras kind of waving their swords in the air, but they didn't know that 100 years later we would be sitting there analyzing their movie. So, but that one was pretty good. And then I saw another movie called Why Change Your Wife, which I had seen it before. The credits, when you see the opening credits, it says directed by William DeMille, who was the brother of Cecil B. DeMille. Actually, Cecil B. DeMille directed it. His brother was a playwright, was a screenwriter, was a professor. Both of them had come from a theatrical family. William had directed some movies in the past. I don't know why Cecil gets the actual credit for it when the opening credits, like I said, have William DeMille on there. Mm-hmm. And but it's a cute little comedy about marriage. And Gloria Swanson is in it. Thomas Meehan is in it. He was very popular at the time. He and Gloria did a couple of movies together for DeMille. And it's about, it's the 1920s. The husband's a little more modern. And they're a young couple, but Gloria's character is very conservative and everything. And it's like he'll want to go to the theater. Well, she thinks it's vulgar. She won't let him smoke his cigar. She doesn't even like his dog. And
that's rough.
That's rough. So he goes to buy her a negligee, and the model is someone he knew from childhood. And of course, she starts flirting with him, and he's very flattered by this. And he brings the negligee home, tells Gloria, oh, we'll put on what's in the box, and she loses her mind. Is this what you want your wife to dress like? You should, what do you want, a harem or something? I look like some harem girl. So she just loses it. So he ends up going out with the model, spends the whole evening with her, goes back home, and of course Gloria smells the woman's perfume on him, and she's like, I want a divorce, how dare you. So he and the dog move out. They get a divorce. He ends up marrying the model.
So they kind of went Greta on it. How dare you?
How dare you? How dare you? But Gloria overhears these, and they're all in high society, but she overhears these ladies at a dress shop, and they're like, well, what do you expect? Of course they got divorced. Look at how she dresses. She dresses like somebody's maiden aunt. She never acted like a wife to him. And so Gloria's like, you know what? I'm going to show them. I want the sexiest dress that you have in this dress shop. So it all kind of collides when they all meet at this Atlantic City luxury hotel, and Thomas Meehan is there with his new wife. And then he sees Gloria, and all the men are falling over her. The women want to be her. She's wearing a very sexy swimsuit that I'm like, how in the heck could a woman wear a swimsuit that looked that heavy? Where did that come from? But he even gives her the dog. She likes the dog at this point because his new wife hates the dog. She's just like, it's the dog or me, you know. And so he asks Gloria, you know, well, would you like the dog? And she's like, yeah, you know, the more I look at the dog, the less I like men. Dogs are just a whole lot easier to handle. So it's just a nice little comedy. It's about an hour and a half, and it's just about what happens when two people separate and then realize they shouldn't have separated at all. So it's that kind of a movie.
Yeah.
And then my 4-star movies were all movies I've already seen before. Casino, of course. Spellbound, which is Hitchcock. That's Gregory Peck and Ingrid Bergman. Stalag 17 with William Holden.
I like it pronounced as Stalag.
Stalag. And they actually have a Schultz in there, which was cracking me up because every time they said Schultz, I was just like, he's nothing. And I looked at Reds again. And
the commie love, right?
The commie love, the commies in love story. And I finally decided I was going to do a deep dive on Reds because I never had. I knew Warren Beatty won Best Director. I knew Reds was up for Best Picture. Reds was the movie that I've said it before. If Raiders couldn't win Best Picture, I was like, I'll be good with Reds winning Best Picture. And of course, they both got beaten by Chariots of Fire. Chariots of Fire, which is only known as, it beat Reds and Raiders for Best Picture.
I don't remember a single moment of that movie.
I don't
Chariots
either.
of Fire.
No, I tried to look at it twice and fell asleep at the same point each time. So I've given up.
But the grudge will live on.
Yes, I'm like, I'll put Reds or Raiders in again and look at them. But no, I decided to do a deep dive about the making of the movie, and there was also one character in there that I see him every time I look at the movie, and I'm like, I would love to know more about who the actor is. And I knew the character was part of the Bolshevik government that took over after the provisional government collapsed. And I found out some interesting stuff. Beatty, CFA production, I'm talking about 1981 Reds with Warren Beatty, Diane Keaton, Jack Nicholson, and a host of others. Maureen Stapleton won Best Supporting Actress, deservedly. But Beatty and Diane Keaton were seeing one another. I think everybody, if she made a movie for you, she was fooling around with you too. The two of them brought their domestic disputes onto the set. And they were bad domestic disputes where people were wondering, are we even going to get the movie finished? Because the two of them were going at it. And a couple of times Diane walked off the set because she was so upset. Beatty shot a few scenes 80 plus times to the point where Maureen Stapleton said to him, are you effing crazy shooting this scene 80 plus times? So I'm not sure what was in Beatty's head. I mean, the movie's excellent. So, Super Anime Gamer, His Girl Friday is an excellent movie, even though I think it would probably get canceled because at one point in the movie, they say a colored man, and I can just hear the SJWs going, they said colored. But the actor I'd always been interested in, I found out his name was Jerzy Kosinski, and he was a famous novelist and a playwright. And he had an interesting history. Now, he plays, I hope I get this name right, Grigory Zinoviev, who was part of the Bolsheviks, the government that took over after the provisional government collapsed. And Kosinski has a very interesting history. He was a Polish Jew. During World War II, his father changed his name to Jerzy Kosinski so that the Nazis wouldn't realize they were Jews. a Catholic priest falsified baptismal records.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, that's something that happened a few times during that time. Yeah.
yes. And the town was known for protecting Polish Jews. So the town protected them. Okay, so he makes it through World War II. In the 50s, he comes to the United States, but he pretends that a foundation that didn't exist sponsored him coming to the United States. He even falsified paperwork from communist, I guess, artistic people
Hmm.
to say, oh, yeah, this guy, yeah, he should be in the United States. Here he is. We know he's a good Soviet citizen. He won't defect or anything. So he falsified all of that. Okay, now this is what really got me. He was friends with Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski. He knew another Polish American named Wojciech Frykowski, whose name I knew. He introduced Frykowski to the heiress to the Folgers estate, Abigail Folger. He and his wife were on their way to California to meet with Roman and Sharon, and were going to stay at their home. Their luggage got misplaced. He was not there that August night when Manson sent part of his family in there to slaughter everybody in the house. I thought that was amazing that this man managed to get out of that.
Hmm.
The bad thing is he got accused years later of plagiarism, and he ended up committing suicide about 10 years after he made Reds for Baby. Took a lethal amount of alcohol, a lethal amount of drugs, put a plastic bag around his head, and suffocated to death. And I'm thinking, you got through all of that and did this to yourself. And his suicide note, he said, I am going to put myself to sleep now for a little bit longer than usual. Call it eternity.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, because I worked so many suicides. You rarely have a note left behind. And I was just like, I know you were going through some accusations and everything, but you made it through World War II and you were a Jew. You escaped the Holocaust. Your luggage got lost and you escaped the Manson family. And then this happens.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So anyway, that's what comes from me deep diving. But the character he plays is a fanatical Soviet. At one point when Warren Beatty's character, John Reed, tells him that he needs to get back to the United States. He has a wife. He's like, well, comrade, yes, we all have families, but my son was on his deathbed. Did I go rushing to him? No, because the party comes first. We have to consider what we're setting up here. Now, I'm not trying to guilt trip you or anything. And of course, Beatty's character ends up staying because it's like, yeah, how are you going to put up with an argument like that? So, I love that movie. I love the way Beatty set it up. I love that he actually found people, they call them the witnesses, people that were around at that time. People that knew John Reed and Louise Bryant, and people that were there when the revolution was going on. So even though they're elderly, it was like they would still say little things that was giving you an insight into the United States and what became the Soviet Union at that time. And not all of them were pro-communist, but it was like, this is one lady sitting there, she was like, were they communists? I never knew they were communists. So, yeah. Brian, why do you think Marlon Brando was crazy in his later career? I don't know if he is so much crazy. I just think he had gotten lazy. I mean, he'd come out of retirement. He would, I think, didn't he do a movie with Johnny Depp? It was like one of his last movies.
What?
Yeah.
That might be worth seeing.
I about to say.
Yeah. And he dances. I mean, as much as a man that size could dance.
Let me try and see this. So
And
Oh,
there's a song in there that was in the top 40 because I used to sing it all the time.
here's an interesting fact. Did you know that there is a video game for The Godfather?
Yeah.
Somebody told me that.
And he is the voice of Don Vito Corleone in the game.
Oh
Interesting.
wow.
I'm wondering if
Eric
they just took
O'Sullivan.
clips from the movie and put them in versus him
Probably.
coming in to actually.
Yeah, because he's dead. So
Yeah, let's say
I
when did
can't even.
he see he
Oh, are you
Uh,
talking about Don Juan DeMarco?
Yeah, Eric O'Sullivan just mentioned that. That's
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Don
I haven't
Juan
seen it in
DeMarco.
years. I haven't seen it yet. And oh shoot, I don't remember who sang the song,
Faye
but I
Dunaway's
know
in
that.
it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What a and Brando looks awful.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I just think he would come out. He would leave Tahiti. He'd come over, and it's like, you only got me for a day, and they'd say, oh, okay, well, Marlon, we just need you to just stand up and spin a little bit, and then you can get back on your plane and go home. So, I know he fell in love with Tahiti when, unbelievably, he was in Mutiny on the Bounty back in the early 60s when he was still young and was doing movies. And he fell in love with Tahiti when they were filming over there. So, yeah.
Nice.
So, anyway, but yeah, that was the movies.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
cool. And
that I've seen.
while you were going through that, fat Steven Seagal beat up J.J. Abrams. Donated. He donated a super chat and says, Miss Hoover, I sat on Baby Yoda. Happy tidings all. Well, thank you, fat Steven Seagal beat up J.J. Abrams. Thank you very much for the super chat and for being here. And Pod Racing Palpatine, I talked about that earlier about Cineworld closing cinemas down and likely that extending to the United States because they own Regal. Soul Assassin says there is a game, but you're a different character in it, talking about the Godfather game. And
cool.
Bryant Barth says that he actually voiced the character before he died because the game came out around 2006 and he died around 2004, so that would have worked out still. And Andrew Hoyle says it's a GTA style game. What? Godfather GTA style. That's interesting.
Okay, what's GTA? I'm sorry.
Grand Theft
Grand
Auto.
Theft Auto,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
which I tried to play once, and just kind of like started the game and randomly walked up to somebody and started punching them out, and realized that wasn't how the game was supposed to work.
Then the cops show up and start shooting at you, and you're like, what? What did I
I
do?
got in trouble. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then
Well, that's one thing I have been doing. I have been binge watching SCTV because there's a bunch of episodes on YouTube. And I have forgotten what a funny show that was.
also, I was able to pick up as we were talking this. So this is the edition that I have. This is Apocalypse Now Blu-ray. It's a 2-disc set, and it's interesting because on one disc they actually have the original film and Redux, and then there's an entire Blu-ray disc of special features. It does not specify about whether or not Hearts of Darkness is on there, but I'm pretty sure it is based on the reviews I was looking into at the time. But yeah,
I
excellent.
have never seen that movie. I feel like I'm vastly missing out on something here.
Yeah,
Oh, Apocalypse Now?
Yeah.
it's a wild trip.
Yeah, it is. It is. And every Vietnam vet that I've ever talked to, they won't say it was like Vietnam, but they get that the symbolism in it was supposed to represent it. I know my dad said, I know there's one scene in there where they keep blowing up a bridge and the Viet Cong keeps rebuilding it. And my dad said that was very accurate. He said they could send them in, they blow up a bridge, the Viet Cong would rebuild it, and then the Americans would come back in and bomb it again. And it was just this, it was like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
They just kept repeating the whole stuff over and over again. So yeah.
So in Fearter says Marlon Brando in The Island of Dr. Moreau freaked me out. I haven't seen that one yet.
Critical don't. Mm-mm.
Don't?
Critical Drinker did
No,
a
please
review.
don't.
He put it under his production hell
Mm.
category. Oh, Brando was totally worthless in that, and
I
Val
know.
Kilmer
So
acted
weird.
like a spoiled little I don't know what. It was.
It has Brando and sorry, I just blanked. And
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, and you're telling me not to watch it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's bad.
Yeah, Martin Brando didn't even bother to read the script, so they had to feed his lines through an earpiece.
I am not surprised.
Like Joe Biden. Yeah, I don't. It's not one of those like so bad it's good movies. It's
It's just bad. Oh no.
Like South Carolina. It's just bad.
Oh my god.
Oh God, bless their hearts. Bless that movie's heart. Andrew Ho says GTA 5 and mods melted his PC. That's not good. Ravdi says there's also video games for the Die Hard film franchise. None of them got any good reviews, though. Yeah, he had also said, or others had mentioned, that apparently Scarface got a video game rendition of it, too. Inferior says you need to watch the making of Island of Morrow
Yes.
from 96 because it's a hell of a watch. Yeah, it definitely sounds like it for sure.
Yes.
And Bree says it was a crazy movie, another one I liked. And then Rosetta Allen in the chat says, love to you guys. Sorry I couldn't make it. Rosetta Allen, we've been praying for you. Hopefully you're feeling better. And we're actually about to start. I was about to start sharing your links and getting to the shout out portion of the show. And CR Production says The Island of Dr. Moreau at a 24% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 4.6 on IMDb. Well.
That high?
Well.
Wow.
Oh, do we have a sleepy puppy right there? That's
Gracie's enjoying the sunshine.
Oh,
Hey,
look
Gracie.
at that. Look at the
Gracie.
sleepy puppy.
So pretty.
Oh, so pretty.
She's a princess.
Yeah. Like a waggy tail.
Oh.
The waggy tail.
Hi, Bailey.
I love puppies.
She's a good girl.
Rosetta says, I can't stay. Had to say hi, though. Hey, again, take care of yourself, Rosetta. And thank you again for keeping us updated as well. And then Bruce is saying that he was talking about the Island of Dr. Morrow. So he's putting the dab in there saying that he enjoyed it. He liked it.
Well, my mother, who was usually very forgiving of any movie, she hated it. So if she hated it, I knew it was bad.
Oh, Lord. So another thing to talk about, though. So Lord Totes, first off, says Critical Drinker did a great video on Island of Dr. Morrow. Looks like I need to watch those videos of him going in the behind-the-scenes chaos of film. Fast Steven Seagal says he loves my old house. Thank you, Fast Steven Seagal. Appreciate it. Ha 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 ha. Yes, the old house joke. The old house joke. But I was gonna say that as you were going through your movies, Tina, you mentioned a film that featured a actress by the name of Dorothy Gish. And all I could think of the entire rest of the time you were talking after you mentioned Dorothy Gish was Three Amigos. Because there's a scene in Three Amigos when you have Ned Niederlander talking about his experience when he met Dorothy Gish.
Oh my God.
And he has that scene, he's like, and she came up to me saying, young man, you have got it. Dorothy Gish, true story. And I was just, that's all I could think about was that one scene when he goes off about Dorothy Gish in Three Amigos. So
that is so funny because they just decide, oh, we're going to use Dorothy. Dorothy's the least known of the Gish sisters. That's hilarious. I mean, if he had said, and Lillian Gish, everybody would have gone, oh, yeah, I know her. I've seen her.
And that's what, now I appreciate the movie even more because you realize just how brilliant the writing is because his big experience with a Hollywood star was someone that was not even a Hollywood star.
It's like the background information on Hedley Lamar from the Blazing Saddles movie.
It's Hedley.
Oh my God.
In the behind the scenes, I guess Mel Brooks, she was complaining about them using her name, so they just gave her money. It's Hedley Lamar. What are you gonna do?
And then Eric O'Sullivan has another great line from it. Hey hey, I think that's a mail plane. Well, how can you tell? Well, didn't you see its little balls? Get it? It's a mail plane. It's a man plane. And you know what's so funny? When I was a kid, I didn't get the joke. So I thought that it was an actual trait of mail planes, like of carrying mail, to have little balls on them. So as a child, I didn't get the joke. And so I was laughing because, you have Martin Short on screen laughing hysterically, and it's hilarious to see him laughing like that. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, now it's even funnier.
Somebody was asking me what other production hells that I heard of. And I said, well, Apocalypse Now for sure. I heard Eyes Wide Shut was pretty disastrous because Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were only supposed to give like 4 or 6 months to that movie. And I think Kubrick took like 2 years.
Oh, my goodness.
So, and then he died. For the and that's one. Oh my god!
The movie killed him.
The movie killed him. Yeah.
Damn.
Now, see, I've heard some conspiracies about that movie. I can't remember whose YouTube channel I was watching, and he's a big Kubrick buff. But supposedly Kubrick was dropping some I know stuff in Hollywood information in Eyes Wide Shut. And there's a rumor that they may have taken him out. I don't know, because I don't even know what he's supposed to have died of.
It's kind of like the it's a Sunday, so it's appropriate, I think. So John Paul I, who was only Pope for about 33 days before he died, a big conspiracy theory is that he was killed. Because he was going after the Vatican Bank, and it's kind of this well-known secret that's not so secret, that because the Vatican Bank is basically the only bank in the world that has no overhead, like it has no outside people looking into it and following the money, basically, that it is a bank that is oftentimes used by gangsters and used by nefarious people, and that because he was going into it, that it could have actually been a mob hit to take out John Paul I. And that's actually, and I know that you know that because that's a part of the story. There's a part of a storyline going on with Godfather Part 3 with that.
Yes. Yeah. And me and my mom used to talk about that all the time. And we would just kind of look at each other and say, I'm sure that's probably what happened for real. Coppola probably got some inside information.
Absolutely.
Because I remember there's a line in there where Michael says, we can't save him now. And I'm like, oh, well, of course you can't, because this is based on John Paul I, so you're not going to be able to save him.
Absolutely. Yep. And Lord Toth says...
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
yeah, exactly.
And Catholic gangster, or rather, sorry, Lord Toth says Catholic gangsters, and says, truth, Odin, the Vatican Bank conspiracy. Yep. Absolutely. It's a pretty big one. And it's interesting because the more time that goes by and the more, I mean, here's the other thing. So more recent times, there was a cardinal from Australia, Cardinal Pell, and he was put in charge of the Vatican Bank, and Pope Francis put him in charge to try and uncover corruption. And what happened to him after he was starting to dig things up? All of a sudden, this random allegation against him comes up in Australia that forces him to have to go back to Australia. He's put in prison for a better part of a year or several years as he's appealing. Finally, his case gets to the Supreme Court, and he's found to be innocent because anyone even outside of Australia were looking into the case and saw there was no evidence to say that he was guilty of this of a crime of abusing anybody. But because Australia is notorious for being anti-Catholic, they just said, he was guilty. And it took the Supreme Court to come in and say, no, he's not. This is ridiculous, and freed him. So now he's getting back to the Vatican. And apparently I think he's getting put back in charge of the Vatican Bank. So we'll see. Follow Cardinal Pell, everybody, because if something happens to Cardinal Pell, we'll know that, it's another one of these hits going on here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's like a case we have here. It goes all the way back to the 60s. This lady named Alberta Jones, and the only reason why I remember her is because she had the same name as my aunt.
Oh, wow.
But she was not only the first Black prosecutor in our county, but the first female Black prosecutor.
Mhm.
She was murdered. The police at the time did deep investigation, had some suspects. I've heard a lot of rumors. My mother was talking about it. It's like they interviewed every man she'd ever known, even some of the women she had known, because there's a possibility she might have been a lesbian, not for sure. And then the investigation just kind of just died. And while I was at the department, every now and then somebody in homicide would say, "Oh, we're going to look into this Alberta Jones case again. We think we may have nabbed who killed her, and they're still alive, and we're going to bring them in to talk to him." And the investigation would just die. And then a few years later, another homicide detective would come up, same thing, and it would just die. And it's like, no, somebody, okay, they start out with these good intentions. We're going to solve this 50-year-old crime.
Yeah.
And then somebody is cutting it off, because I just have a feeling there's too many people in this community, especially in the Black community, that may still be alive, that were involved with her in some way, and they do not want it out there. So I don't think this case, they can bring it up all they want and say, tell the media, "Oh, we've solved it." I don't think anything's ever going to come of it, which is so sad. Yeah, Bruce, it is an open cold case, and that's how it keeps coming up. It's like every time somebody goes to cold case and they're like, "Hey, I'm going to reopen this case," and they'll even go to the media and say, "Yeah, the suspects are possibly, still alive. We're going to bring them in and talk to them," and then you never hear another thing. And I know there were a few texts that it was like they found some new evidence that back in the 60s they wouldn't have known what to do with it, except, well, we'll just bag it and tag it and put it in the property room.
Yeah.
And you've got all this stuff, and it's like they're never going to bring anybody to justice, ever.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening. So with this Vatican treasury, yeah, that's
Yep. It's pretty crazy stuff. And if they don't want stuff coming out, then it's not going to come out. And so, yeah, follow Cardinal Pell and see what happens. But we have a super chat from Jeffrey Turner, a.k.a. MegaJetty1. Thank you very much for the super chat, good sir. Says, "I'm especially good at the celebrity overdose, 007. Thank you very much for that super chat. Soul Assassin said, "Kubrick's greatest film was the moon landing." Yes, you're correct.
Hey, I have to head out.
Oh, okay, Mr. Roy. What are any shout outs you want to give before you go? Any final departing words?
I have caught some live streams from According to Krista. As she, her and Coastal Casino do these live streams where they talk about movies of the year, top movies of like 1995, 94, and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
Nice.
fun.
Yeah, they're very interesting because they bring up films that you normally wouldn't think about came out that year.
Yeah.
They're very interesting to listen to.
So is it top box office, or is it like
No,
Oscar?
it's not, each one of them have like a top 10 list of films they like.
Oh, so it's
from
their
that
own.
year.
It's their own top list then. Okay.
Yeah, it's their own personal list.
Oh,
and
nice.
That's what's cool about it, because every once in a while they bring up a film that you've either forgotten about or never even heard of. And
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to listen to.
Nice. So that's According to Christie and Cultural Casino, you said?
I think it's on her channel.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, and According to Christie is a Modrotic on Friday Night Tights, and so, yeah, definitely support her. And I think we shouted out Cultural Casino not too long ago as well. So, yeah, sounds like a good crew.
I got to head out.
All right.
Thanks. I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks for being here, Mr. Roy. Thank you again for your support.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
take care.
Blessed Sunday to you, Mr. Roy. Always love Mr. Roy. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's catch up with a couple people. Andrew Hoyle, they're going to make him an offer he cannot I think I was going to make him an offer they cannot refuse. Brian Barth, have you heard of Shane Carruth? No. I don't know who that is. Lord South, we should have an episode on religious conspiracies, Odin. Ooh, we could have conspiracies, but then also we could have like crazy church history as well. We could talk about how there was a pope that dug up his predecessor and put him on trial, his dead predecessor on trial, the corpse sitting in the box.
Tater tot time? No. All
Wow.
And declared him a heretic so that all of the cardinals that pope had chosen would become invalid. Yeah, that happened in history.
Wow.
And then there was another pope that was actually pope 3 times because he sold the papacy to his uncle because he got bored. And then and then he took it back, got bored again, gave it away, and then there were 2 popes, and then he got in once more. And so, yeah, he was technically pope 3 times.
God.
And that's not even going into the Borgias. So.
Well, I saw some movie on Amazon that was about Borgia when he was elected.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of interesting seeing all the politics that goes, that went into it.
Well,
and
the show The Borgias was actually pretty good.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, Rhaegar was saying about Rodrigo Borgia,
Exactly.
Alexander the Sixth. Yeah. So, and I usually only study papal history when it plays into other history, that I'm studying. And, I know who Julius II is with the Sistine Chapel, and I know who the Pope was that Henry VIII wanted to get when he was trying to get his divorce from Catherine of Aragon. So, but I would love to know a little bit more about, Catholic Church history.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I wish I knew more about, especially with the popes. But yeah, there's a couple of fun popes to talk about, and as they always say, right? The church is made up of people as well, and people are flawed. Richard Cotton says hello. Hello, Richard Cotton. Let's see. Fat Steven Seagal beat up J.J. Abrams. I still have Clockwork Orange soundtrack on vinyl, the first release. Ooh. And then says, according to daddy issues. If that's a shot at Christy, I do not appreciate it. I'm sure it's an inside joke. I'm assuming that's the case. Then also says their own top 10 of the year. Nice. Very good. And then it says Christy, Stig, Cultural Casino, Tom from Midnight's Edge, and Script Doctor. Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good panel right there.
Yeah.
Will Gentry says it's on according to Christy's channel. It has Stig. Okay, and then just repeats what they had said. But okay, it's on according to Christy's channel. That's good. Brian Barth, what do you all think of Stanley Kubrick? I think we've kind of made our thoughts on Kubrick pretty clear. Like, he's a brilliant director, but he's also
I think he was kind of out there. I mean, I heard that he slapped Shelley Duvall at one point.
Oh my gosh.
During the making of The Shining. I guess she wasn't giving him the reaction he wanted. I don't know. But I was telling Brian, I mean, I like a few of Kubrick's movies. Full Metal Jacket's my favorite, and then I guess The Shining. And I even saw Barry Lyndon. Was actually impressed he got a performance out of Ryan O'Neal. So I have never seen Clockwork Orange. It's messed up. Refuse to see it.
Yeah, it's messed up. I enjoy it. I think it's a well-made movie. It is also very disturbing. Oh Lord, are those the tots? We have tots.
It's tater tot time.
Oh, look at that.
I see them. Okay.
We have tots. Is that a Mickey glove I see?
Yes. So wife's making me some tots.
Yes.
Oh.
We got the tots. We got the Mickey glove, and then look at those burgers. Yes. Yes.
Get some avocado.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
look at that.
Sorry to interrupt, but if I don't stop to eat, the wife's not going to be happy with me.
And as we always say on the channel, happy wife is a happy life.
Yeah, Bruce, I like Barry Lyndon.
So Laura, does that mean that you have to head out?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so
it's gonna be a little longer.
Any last minute shouts or anything like that?
Oh just excited for the baby, and I did send something. I have to get with you on that.
Okay.
It says it's holding it. I don't know what that means.
Normally, it means that it's too big for the box, and so they put a card in mine, and then once I'm there, it'll, there's a lot of things apparently at the P.O. box I need to pick up this week, so.
Well, between your birthday and the baby, I'm sure,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Everybody's sending stuff. It's so adorable. I want you to get it because I want you to tell you about it.
Awesome. I will.
But
I plan to go there on Monday or Tuesday, so that way I have them for the last stream on Tuesday.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So I'll see you on Tuesday, and it'll be a nice little break for you to get all the baby stuff sorted out.
Absolutely.
It's actually really easy when they're little. It's when they start moving around.
Yeah, because then you have to really watch them at every point, and God forbid when they start talking to you.
Put everything in their mouths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad, why is this? Dad, why is that? Dad, what is this? Dad, what is that? Stop asking so many questions.
And then they'll go through the no.
Why?
Why? Why?
And then the hissy fit in the middle of the mall for no reason. And then all the stages. But I'm very excited for you. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for being here. It's always great to talk, and it's always great to have you here. And thank you again for being such a great and longtime supporter of the channel. And it's always great to talk.
It's a great little community we have here.
We have fun. We have fun here. we have fun here. So
yeah. I'll try not to tag in any. The wrath.
Just if you do, give me a warning. By the way, this could bring on.
Jeez, people just need to calm down.
Absolutely. But I was glad we were able to have that conversation earlier too. Again, very important stuff to talk about, and to actually to have those conversations, especially outside of the Twitter sphere.
Ooh, she's sauteing mushrooms. Oh my god.
Oh, you go eat those. You go eat those and thank her, because gosh, those burgers look delicious.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. Hi, bye, Tina.
All right, you have a great one,
Bye,
Laura.
Laura. Take care.
Happy Sunday.
Bye, chat.
And just as she's leaving, someone who has not been around in months is here. Lando Calrissian.
Wow.
Lando Calrissian just dropped a hot dog. Super sticker. Lando, how is it going? Good sir. I have not seen that name in a very long time.
I
Yes.
know. Well, now we got according to Christy's grits. I hope those grits are prepared right.
Oh, y'all are crazy. Y'all are crazy. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's catch up. Rob D says, you could probably make an entire channel for religious conspiracies. Wasn't the concept that religion first brought about in the 1100s or something? Concept of religion's been around for a long time. Do you mean conspiracies? I don't know. Fat Steve Zagal says, oh, and that's an actual parody account someone made. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Soul Assassin, there's a channel called Overly Sarcastic Productions, and they did a few videos on the popes and their shenanigans. Ooh, that sounds fun. Bruce loves Clockwork Orange. Lord Toth was very excited about the Tots. Bruce likes Barry Lyndon. I've actually never seen Barry Lyndon. And Feartzer says, a friend of mine got me into the new Pope with Jude Law. Weird, but rather good. I agree. It's a show I didn't think I would like, because I'm more of a, some would call me, I don't use these terms for myself because I don't, to me, I am an Orthodox Catholic. Just means I'm a traditional Catholic. But some would call me more conservative in this mindset. So the new Pope, you would think, would not really be a show that an Orthodox, conservative Catholic would enjoy. But once you get past the fact that it is indeed fiction, it's actually brilliant. Like, there's so many cool things they do. And I will say this much in Fear-Tur. The actor that plays the Secretary of State, oh my gosh, I'm blanking out on the character's name, but Voiello. Oh, no, Voiello. I think that's the correct name for him. Cardinal Voiello, who's the Secretary of State, is amazing because he's always talking about his book. He's always talking about his image, and he has all this power in the Vatican. And I just think that there's a lot of random truths in there. And
Huh.
and especially when you have the popes being named are literally John Paul III. I thought that was an interesting choice of name. And
Interesting.
then there's also, I think, someone even chooses Francis II. And again, there's just a lot of these interesting things
Huh.
that go on with the show. And yeah, it's one I thoroughly enjoy, and I didn't think I would. Brian Barth says, have you seen Fargo movie and TV show? I've seen the movie. Well, don't you know? And it's great. Great movie. I've not seen the show, though. I've heard great things. Tina, have you seen the show? I know you've seen the movie, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I love the movie.
Yeah.
I saw the first season with Billy Bob Thornton and the guy who plays Bilbo Baggins.
Martin
Hobbit.
Freeman.
Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really clever because at one point they did kind of tie season 1 into the movie, just briefly. I never saw the other seasons, and the commercials I've seen for the current season, it looks a little too 2020, as in, oh, we're going to put our virtue signaling in here. I don't know. It's just from looking at the ad for it, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be the trend. Seems to be the trend these days. And I do think that, though, if they do go in their own original direction, that as long as that first season is a direct tie to the movie, that's what's most crucial, right? Because you need to have that. If you don't, if you're naming your show Fargo and your first season alone doesn't connect with it, then it's like, why are you calling it Fargo? And if you do that, then the second, third, fourth, you can start to move away from the movie because you're establishing your own individual world, and you have more freedom to do that. You know, it's something that we've talked about before on like Friday Night Tights, where there's a right way to do it, where you pay respect to the source material first. You know, that's something that Star Wars should have done, right? The sequel trilogy should have been about Luke and Leia and Han, and having the new characters in the background as secondary to introduce them and build them up, so that at the end, guess what they could have done? Imagine if Disney had done that. Imagine if the sequel trilogy had been Luke, Han, and Leia as the main characters, finishing their story arc, introducing then characters maybe like Rey and Finn, and then everyone's loving it and is so excited because it's exactly what the people wanted.
Exactly.
And now what can you do? Now you can make a new trilogy, and now you can have the new characters because you've established them. But of course, they didn't. And hindsight is 2020, as they say.
And there we go. Well, that's like when you see The Godfather for the first time. You're seeing almost 3 generations there. You see Vito Corleone and his wife. You see their children. Connie celebrating her wedding. Sonny and his wife have kids. So you see another generation there. So you get to know these people. So towards the end of the first Godfather, when Vito hands off his authority to Michael, it's so natural. It's not like, oh, well, we have wait a minute, who is Michael Corleone? Where did he come from? We've been seeing Vito for the last 2 hours. He's the only character we know. So they did it. Yeah, they did it right. But, oh my gosh. I don't know.
Absolutely. And it's sad. It's sad because there was just so much potential that they could have had. And of course, you know, we look to what happened, you know, later on with the death of Carrie Fisher. You know, had they been able to get that first film right, you know, and they would have been able to at least get part of the second film with her still being alive, and then they could have been able to work it out in the third film to give her, you know, a send off that was worthy of her character and of her talent and of her importance to the Star Wars universe. But
exactly.
But unfortunately,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so much going on that it's almost like Friday Night Tights. I wasn't in the chat. I was listening to you all while I was, you know, doing other things. I'm always multitasking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, every time when, you know, well, Ryan Cannell, I think, was the one who told Gary a couple of weeks ago that article had dropped about they were looking for people who felt comfortable in the nude for Lord of the Rings. And you saw Gary die a little bit, and I did too. And when I told Sharon about it, and she's a hardcore Tolkien fan, she just groaned when I told her. And I mean, there could be any number of reasons why they're doing it, but my mind always goes to it's not going to be good. because they seem to have this mentality now that we can do it better.
Mhm.
It's that whole thing that oh shoot, in Jurassic Park, when Jeff Goldblum says that line about you're standing on the shoulders of giants and you're thinking
Yeah.
you're doing better
Yeah.
than what they did.
Yeah.
So you have these. No, I don't like JJ. No, I don't like Ryan Johnson. I don't like most of the directors that they have now.
Yeah.
That's why I was laughing when I was reading the comments on Drinker's Abyss video where
Mhm.
people were saying, yeah, maybe that's what they need to do, work these actors for 20 or 24 hours and they'll stay off Twitter because
It's
they don't have that glamour anymore.
yeah. It's sad though, right? It's sad that we're in the
It
state
is.
we are now where we've lost that. You know, the Hollywood
Yeah.
superstar is really a thing of the past. And
It is.
you know, it's in this current age though, that's a good thing. Because
Yeah.
they're not as important as they used to be.
No, no. And I know Sharon, she's a big Glenn Ford fan. And she had read some about him as Glenn Ford, and she said, Tina, I never should have done that because it's when you see them on the screen, you're thinking, yeah, he was on wife number whatever at that point. And it's true because they built up that image, and you had the old movie magazines, and you'd sit there and see these beautiful black and white photographs of all these stars, and you're thinking, oh well, maybe I could go to Hollywood and I'll get to meet Gable or Tyrone
Mhm.
Power, or I can be as wonderful as Hedy Lamarr or Vivian Lee or something.
It's
And they-
Headley.
Headley.
Sorry, I had to. Every time I
And
hear
you know,
Hetty now, I have to.
And Hedy, Hedy Lamarr was a brilliant scientist. I think she helped develop radar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one movie was it The Aviator? No,
Yeah,
there was a movie that went into that where maybe it
Yeah.
wasn't her, but there was an actress that people had not really talked about, and like they go into that a little bit. I'm sure someone in the chat might know what we're talking about, but yeah, there's a movie where they go into that part of her life.
yeah. I mean, she was like a genius, and she was beautiful.
Mhm.
So, but no, you don't have that glamour anymore. And I don't know. I was trying to think the other day, when did the line get broken? And I kind of started thinking when Humphrey Bogart went to Washington during the McCarthy hearings and was supporting the Hollywood Seven that were being accused of being communist.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's when that line started to kind of fade, where it was like, okay, I'm not seeing Humphrey Bogart in Maltese Falcon or Casablanca anymore. I'm starting to see Humphrey Bogart political activists. And like I was telling Stephanie the other night, no, I know, and this is cold, this is cruel. I know so many Vietnam veterans that can't wait for Jane Fonda to die so they can spit on her grave. Because she was a traitor.
Yeah.
She went over there. She was hobnobbing with the Viet Cong. We were at war with them. And no, every time I talk to a Vietnam vet, it's just like, I won't look at one of her movies.
Yeah.
I hate her. I can't wait to spit on her grave.
It's just so sad because obviously, to be, we can be critical of her, stupidity, but it's at the same time, it's like the fact that, we have the ability to feel that way about somebody, that's why it's one of those slippery slopes, where, talking about politics, for instance, and talking about, whether it's Trump or Joe Biden or whoever it is, like the fact that we now have gotten to the point where people are wishing death upon others, right? So people are saying, good, I'm glad that Trump got this. Or when someone on the other side gets sick, and there are some people that would say that just as harshly. It's like, it's just insane that our culture is like that now. And, you can understand where the soldiers in this instance would be coming from, right? Because they took it as a personal attack, and maybe they have the right to feel that way, but just to wish that kind of hate and anger. It's just
the guy who trained me, he was in the Marines, he was in Vietnam. My sergeant, when I first went into our unit, he was in Vietnam.
mhm,
A few of them went through Paris Island, which is
yeah.
featured in Full Metal Jacket, and they were like, oh, they didn't show the half of it.
Yeah, and that's another good point too. Is because the same thing was done to them, right? The soldiers were demonized, even though
Yes.
it was the
Yes.
politicians that were making those decisions. It was
Exactly.
the soldiers that kind of got the brunt of all the hatred and anger, and it just it was
Yes.
unfair then, and it's just
Exactly.
it's crazy.
Yeah. But I know it was like if a Jane Fonda movie came on when we were in the office, the detectives, they were just like, I don't want to see her. I can't leave the office. And it was
Yeah.
like that. Hey, that's fine. I know who Jane Fonda is.
Yeah.
And I could still look at some of her movies. My mother was real good. I know you mentioned that the other night. My mother was real good about turning off, this is the actor and this is their role.
Yeah,
And I used to be able to do that. It's getting really hard.
it is getting extremely difficult now.
Yeah. And I guess my only thing is I just have to I don't know, vote with my pocketbook.
Mhm.
And that's why when you were talking about the theaters last night,
Mhm.
it got to me because I feel like I grew up in theaters.
Mhm.
Which is funny coming from a family that we were Pentecostal. We weren't even supposed to have a TV in the house or go to the movies. And it was like almost one of my first thoughts was hearing my grandmother talk about their love of movies.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, boy, this is really weird because we're not even supposed to be going to the movies unless it's something religious,
Yeah.
And not going to date myself, but I still remember the first movie I ever saw. My mom took me to see it, and the theater had the old time drapes, and the curtains parted, and there's an orchestra up there on the screen, and I'm thinking the orchestra's hiding behind the screen.
Mhm.
Because I was, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. And that is what started my love of movies. It was something magical about them. But
Yeah. Well, that's
no,
why
it's just
I love it's I'm trying to find it, but there is a quote. I'm trying to find the full quote. Have you ever seen the movie The Majestic with Jim
I
Carrey?
think, oh no, I'm gonna say I didn't because I'm hit and miss with Jim Carrey.
Okay. I would highly recommend it just for that reason that you mentioned, because it deals obviously with that era of Hollywood though, where people were blacklisted because their scripts were looked into and they were accused of being communist. But what's great about the movie is that there is this. I'm trying to find the quote. Gosh, it's so hard, but it's a quote that this. Oh my gosh, this actor. Let me try and see if I can find at least the actor's name here. So 1 second.
Okay.
Because Jim Carrey's in it, and then oh man, where is it? Martin Landau. Martin Landau plays a character, and he gives this brilliant line. Here it is. So he says this. He says, "That's why we call it the Majestic. Any man, woman, child could buy their ticket, walk right in. Here they'd be, here we'd be. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Enjoy the show. And in they'd come, entering a palace, like in a dream, like in heaven. Maybe you had worries and problems out there, but once you came through those doors, they didn't matter anymore. And you know why? Chaplin. That's why. And Keaton, Lloyd, Garbo, Gable, and Lombard, and Jimmy Stewart, and Jimmy Cagney, Fred and Ginger. They were gods, and they lived up there. That was Olympus. Would you remember if I told you how lucky we felt just to be here, to have the privilege of watching them? I mean, this television thing, why would you want to stay home and watch a little box? Because it's convenient? Because you don't have to get dressed up? Because you could just go and sit there? I mean, how can you call that entertainment? Alone in your living room. Where's the other people? Where's the audience? Where's the magic? I'll tell you, in a place like this, the magic is all around you. The trick is to see it. I love that line. I love that line.
That is fantastic.
And I love that movie because mostly of that line, because every time I hear it, I'm like, yes, that's what the theater is to me too.
Exactly. I mean, when I think about my old movie experiences, hearing the crowd, like I heard you say you hadn't seen Superman 2.
Mhm.
When Superman shows back up in Metropolis to take on Zod,
Mhm.
and everybody's like, the audience was like, yes, he's back. You know, they were so excited. Or the last scene on the staircase in the of the opera house in Godfather 3
Ah,
was
yes, yeah.
the
Yes, it
audience,
happened. Yes.
they stood up and gave a standing ovation. They were like,
She's
yes,
dead.
but
She's
dead.
dead.
But it was 2 hours too late. uh, I still remember seeing Batman 89 when the
Mhm.
movie ended and he's standing up there on that tower and he's looking at the bat signal, and the audience just one by one just started getting up and applauding.
Mhm.
Or hearing the excitement when the Red Sea parts in the Ten
Mhm.
Commandments. Or even though it's a religious movie, the
Mhm.
people that cheered when Masala is being dragged through the sand in Ben-Hur, because you know finally he's been defeated.
Yeah.
So you've gone through so many emotions
Yeah.
in the movies, and I love theater.
Mhm.
I love it, but like I keep saying to you, I would go back if there was something to see.
I
There's
know.
just nothing that I want to see.
Yeah, and they're not releasing it anyway. So even if there was something that you
No.
wanted to see, and and plus we all know how you really feel though. Unhinged is waiting for you, and it's in all of its
And you
glory.
mean that's not on home video yet?
No, it is driving the theater base. Let me tell you, that's the only film that's still playing. They'll delay Wonder Woman, they'll delay everything, but Unhinged came out,
Oh my gosh.
and it's bringing in the dough. So
Oh my gosh. I don't know what happened with Russell Crowe's career. I mean, he used to I still remember there was a cover of, I think it was Time magazine, and this was when Russell had just made LA Confidential,
Mhm.
and it said on the cover, the new Brando. And it's true, he did have that Brando mystique to
Mhm.
him, young Brando.
Mhm.
And I said, oh God, I hope he doesn't go the way that Marlon Brando did, living on some island somewhere and occasionally coming back to give some crappy performance. And it's almost like he's done it.
Mm.
You know, now
Yeah.
I heard he's supposed to be in the Lord of the Rings miniseries.
Mm.
Don't know what he's going to do,
Yeah.
but
Good
so,
Lord.
Bryant, no, I do not think it's anti-Semitic. And this is coming from someone with a Protestant and a Jewish background. No, I think he was being as accurate as he possibly could according to what was going on at the time.
Yeah.
And
It's based on the scripture.
it's based on the scripture.
It's based on the scriptural information. And though I think that there is a debate about how accurate some of that information is as far as how things worked during that time in society. So basically, the whole reason why anyone even brings that up is because Mel Gibson, as an individual, made anti-Semitic comments.
Yeah.
But that does not make the movie anti-Semitic. So people conflate that. It's kind of like, as we said before, right? As you mentioned, it's getting harder to separate the art from the artist. Well, that's a clear example of people blending the two, about saying, oh, he made these comments. Oh, he made a movie that dealt with the Jewish people in some way. Ergo, this must be true. In reality, it's not true. So,
well, see, Brian, why do you think people think it was anti-Semitic?
That's why.
Cecil B. DeMille ran into the same issue when he made King of Kings back in the 20s.
Yeah.
He was trying to tread very carefully, and it finally got to a point with DeMille that he was like, I'm not going to be able to please everybody. I've just got to throw this movie out there because I'm basing it on scripture. And he knew that there were going to be Jewish leaders, and he was friends with Jewish leaders. DeMille had a Jewish background. He knew that there would be people that were going to be upset. Because the Jews did not want to be portrayed as the whole they murdered Christ. it, it was the leaders, it was the Sanhedrin that was behind it, and the Sanhedrin was answerable to Rome. That's the reason why Pontius Pilate was in Jerusalem. He was over all of it. He was the governor.
Yeah.
So they were going to have to, the Sanhedrin was treading carefully. And then, of course, you had Herod Agrippa, who was the king at the time. I'm putting that in quotation marks. It was also political, but yeah, I can understand that the Jews, having been through pogroms and persecution and everything, they did not want to see a movie come out that could possibly get some people, and I'm stressing some, people stirred up.
Yeah.
So it happened with DeMille. Mel Gibson saw it too. Yeah. And like I said, I sat through the movie. I have only seen it twice. I can't sit through it. It's not one of those, hey, let's throw Passion of the Christ into the Blu-ray and watch it. It's not one of those kind of movies.
Yeah.
But no, I was so impressed. I think it's his best movie.
Yeah.
And whatever he's done personally, whatever he said, I still think that he got his point across. And Brian, I don't know if that answered your question or not, but
it was mostly just speculation and really misinformation that was put out there that, as I said, I think it more was connecting his personal comments made when he was drunk and under the influence of drugs versus what was actually in the movie, which was just a portrayal of the Gospels and the gospel accounts that we have. And, you know, some people have viewed that as being anti-Semitic in that way, but all it's, as you said, right, it's just showing that no, there were parts of Jewish leadership that indeed were responsible, just like there were Roman leaders also that were also responsible as well. And so I think that it makes that clear. It doesn't make the Romans look great either. It's the Roman soldiers that are the ones that are, you know, doing some terrible things. I mean,
absolutely. And I'm guessing, I mean, Pilate's even he's even thinking, okay, we got this holiday coming up, and this will be my way of getting this Jesus off, and then I can have him off my hands.
Yep.
And no, they scream for Barabbas. And Pilate just washes his hands of it. He's just like, okay, well, I've done all I can do within the law.
He's innocent, you know, he's innocent, but this is obviously your choice and your law, and so therefore I will allow you to do what it is that you want to do, but it won't be because of my decision.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And Soul Assassin, he's talking about something that I brought up a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, Cecil B. DeMille, while filming the Ten Commandments, had a heart attack. And they kept it very close within their circle because if Paramount had found out he had a heart attack at his age, they would have shut the production down. And I don't know how many directors would do that now. I don't know how they could even keep it hidden.
Yeah, because everything is so public now.
Yeah, because Grace Randolph, you know, you turn around and she'll be like, Cecil B. DeMille had a heart attack. Will Paramount shut down the production? I think so.
I have sources. I have sources.
My sources are telling me.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Lord. Let's see, Bruce said, I'm going to put The Island of Dr. Moreau by my Blu-ray to remind me to rewatch it.
Oh, yeah, he's excited for that one. Let me catch up with some comments from earlier. So Fat Steven Seagal beat up J.J. Abrams says, can we send the baby a beard tuck, so you can match? I know that's like a hat. I just don't know how to pronounce that word. But yeah, go right ahead, Fat Steven Seagal. P.O. Box is available in the description. Andrew Hoyle said, lots of love here. Damn right. Lord Toth, we have fun. Love the Sunday slot. It's always a lot of fun. Let's see. Andrew Hoyle, it's been 84 years. 84 years. I don't know which one. I love grits, says Bruce. Yes. Grits are wonderful. Pod Racing Palpatine, what are grits? Asking from the UK. Essentially, isn't it little bits of corn, technically?
Yeah.
Or is it
when
potato?
I had a friend come over from Scotland, we told her it was close to like porridge, which I think they do have in the UK.
Yeah, I think that is porridge. What is porridge? Yeah, it looks very similar at the very least.
Yeah.
See, porridge commonly eaten at breakfast, typically grain, starchy plants. Yeah, it's about the same thing, just about. Just if you get it in the United States, it is you got to get it in the South because you got to get it with the butter.
Yes.
Maybe sometimes some cheese in there too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Grits are definitely a Southern dish, and they're delicious.
they are.
Lord Toast says, I'm an unorthodox Catholic. Ah, I see. Very unorthodox of you. Andrew Hoyle says, I too am an Orthodox Catholic. Well, hey, welcome, brother. And actually, yeah, since you mentioned that, I have I got this recently. I mentioned it to Father the other day, but I have it's a Roman breviary. It's the traditional Roman breviary, and it is pre-Vatican II, and so it's an older structure. And this one is very much, this is actually more closely related to the office that was prayed by Saint Benedict back in the 500s. So like this one's very much more connected to the 1500-year-old tradition of praying all of the Psalms. And so therefore, someone's comment someone got put in timeout. I'll find out why in a second. I'll find that. Yeah, it was Laura. So I'm assuming that it was for a legitimate reason because Laura's good people. But anyway, so it's part of a 3-volume set by Baronius Press. It's definitely not cheap, but luckily I was able to save up for it, and this was my birthday gift to myself. And I've been able to pray those hours for the most part. Matins is the big one because Matins takes about 30 minutes to pray because it's a lot of psalms and a lot of prayers, but it's good. It's good.
Now, Odin, do the Catholic Bibles have the Apocrypha?
Yeah, so we call it, and Protestants will call it the Apocrypha. We call it actually the Deuterocanonical text.
Okay.
So it's the same. Okay. It's the same thing. Deuterocanonical, because for us, we believe it's like the second canon or the second word, so that it's also inspired, but that it is distinct because they were originally written in Greek and not in Hebrew. Because that's the reason why many Protestants and even Jews don't acknowledge it as being authentic because it was not originally in Hebrew.
Well, that movie that I was talking about, the D.W. Griffith one about Judith, like I was saying, that is part of the Apocrypha.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go in there and read it. There should also be a story about Susanna.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Maccabees might be in the
Yep.
Apocrypha. Okay. The only one that I read Rebecca. I'm sorry, Susanna, because there was an opera that was written, I think he's a Kentuckian, and it debuted here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of inspired by that story, but it doesn't turn out as well.
Yeah. That story is in the book of Daniel. And so that's the name of the book and so the book of Daniel is what we call an apocalypse. So it's actually very similar in style to the Revelation. Book of Revelation is an apocalypse, right? Where it's very highly symbolic language. And for the Jews, Daniel was actually written at a time during persecution. And so it was meant to give hope to a Jewish people in persecution. Where Revelation was written during a time where Christians were being persecuted, it was also meant to give hope during a time of persecution. So they're actually similar, but one's one's Old Testament, one's New Testament. So yeah.
Okay. Well, because I know one time I went in a religious store and I didn't even know what Bible I had picked up. I was just looking at different, editions, and I picked this up and I was like, wow, this has got a bunch of books I've never seen before. And that was years ago. And then I was like, oh, it's a Catholic Bible. I was like, where did they get all these stories from? Brian had been asking me, what do I think of Warren Beatty, and wonder why he wasn't outed. Maybe because Warren Beatty was Warren Beatty. Women went with him because he was Warren Beatty. Yeah. I mean, Natalie Wood left Robert Wagner when she and Warren Beatty made Splendid in the Grass. And if you saw him in Splendid in the Grass, you kind of understand why.
I didn't like that movie.
Of course. Have you seen it?
I saw the beginning. I just didn't like it. The movie wasn't well made to me.
It's one of those, I don't know. I think the only movie I've ever liked Natalie Wood in was West Side Story, which of course Spielberg is getting ready to ruin. But yeah, she left Robert Wagner for him, and Warren Beatty was like, I'm not the marrying type. I don't know why you left your husband. And of course, she and Robert Wagner got back together, later. But and Annette Bening is the one who thought of doing what I was like, I don't know how none of his other girlfriends thought of this. She got herself pregnant and he married her, which I would consider very honorable of him.
Yeah.
But Bryant, no, I just think that women love being with Warren Beatty. My mother had a crush on him. I never saw it. I always looked at him as like, oh, okay, Warren Beatty's in this. He's okay.
Yeah.
But
well, it's like people love Rock Hudson. And obviously that was, a big secret that everyone knew about, that he was not actually heterosexual.
Right.
But it's like that. And then of course also look to the music, to the music side of it. Like look to oh my goodness, what is his name?
Liberace.
Yeah, Liberace, right? Women adored him and loved him.
Oh,
But
I know.
Again,
I know.
It's
my great grandfather. They told me that I guess Liberace would play on the radio, and my great grandfather would say, "Gotta go hear Little Rocky," and that was all he ever called.
See, my mama loved and refused to believe that that he was gay. And even though it was well known, she was like, no, it's not true. And by the way, favorite quote dealing with Liberace is from Austin Powers. It's like, and I still can't believe that Liberace was gay. The women loved him, man. I didn't see that one coming.
Oh my gosh. No, Rock Hudson. I mean, I remember when he was on McMillan and Wife, and then he was on, I guess Dynasty was one of his last performances, and that was right before he got diagnosed with AIDS. And I had always, it was just something about him. I'm not going to say, oh my God, my gaydar was going anything, but it was just always something about him that I was like, I don't get it. Why are women so crazy about him? And Bruce was asking, have I been down to the Palace? It's been a while, Bruce. I haven't seen any live shows at the Palace, but remember back in the summers, they used to do the modern classics and then actual classics. And I went down there, I saw Gladiator and Raiders and Jurassic Park and Jaws and Gone with the Wind and the original King Kong. And I saw so many of those down at the Palace. And the Palace, it was built back in the 1920s when they were putting up all the beautiful movie theaters. And it's very Art Deco. And if you look at when you go into the actual area where the customers sit, you look up and there's like little pinpoints in the roof that look like stars. And you have these beautiful like grottos and stuff. And it's so gorgeous. And the city was going to tear it down back in the 70s when they were going through all the urban renewal. They tore down my favorite theater, the Rialto. It's where I saw Gone with the Wind for the first time. And turned it, like the old song says, turned it into a parking lot. And I
love that song, by the way.
It's
don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone. Pay paradise to put up a parking lot. Ooh, bop, bop, bop. Fun fact, Vanessa Carlton as the one doing the ooh bop bops. So that's Vanessa Carlton. Yeah, for anyone that knows who Vanessa Carlton is, she's the one doing the ooh bop bop, ooh bop bop. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they Roger Davis, who used to be on a show called Alias Smith and Jones, and he also worked on the Old Dark Shadows show, was a investor, and he and another guy got together and put the money into restoring what's called the Louisville Palace now. And but with the beer bug and all of that, I don't think they had the summer showing, which would have been wonderful because for people to get to see a lot of the the older movies, that would have been so much fun. But and Brian asked me, imagine Marlon Brando in a modern production, he made them all miserable. Oh yeah, I don't know that any of today's directors would work with him without a lot of butting, butting heads.
Probably some contracts would need to be signed to make certain deals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Soul Assassin, seeing King Kong, the original King Kong in the theater, it was so amazing. And I love that movie so much. And when I first saw it on a big screen, it was the first time that I saw their ship in the harbor because you could actually see the details.
Mm-hmm.
And it was during the scene when Fay Ray and I can't remember the guy's name that was the co-star. Bruce something, Bruce Cabot, when they're escaping from Kong, and if you look in the distance, you can see their ship in the harbor. And I was like, I've been looking at this movie all these years, and I'm just now seeing that. But it was seeing it on a big screen.
Yeah.
You know, so
also, breaking news. Just got a direct message 8 minutes ago from one of the trolls, and it says, "Don't be a twat." Thank you, troll.
Oh, okay.
And that's gonna earn you a nice little block button right there. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And yeah, Eric O'Sullivan, you're right. I do cry for him because I'm like, he didn't ask to be brought to New York. He's just there. He's being what he's always been when he was on Skull Island,
Mm-hmm.
and they just threw him into that. The Peter Jackson version. Hi, Stephanie. She's back.
Yay! Hope yoga went well.
The Peter Jackson version was just 3 very painful hours to me. And
had they cut off part of the movie, it would have been great. Like it's the before, isn't it? Like there's an hour before they even get to the island.
Yes.
And it's like that is the most worthless hour ever.
Oh my gosh. I because here, being a fan of the original, I'm comparing that to Peter Jackson's because his movie is supposed to be a homage.
Yeah.
Because he's so in love with the original. And I'm like,
and I will say the effects on that film are actually good as far as
they are.
The ones for Kong. They then add in this element of, obviously the fighting of the dinosaurs because it's supposed to be an island that has been lost in time. But the dinosaur CGI looked terrible. And it's like, okay, if you're going to spend all your time and money on Kong, that's great. But then leave out the dinosaurs. We don't need those. We don't need the dinosaurs in here.
Well, that was like the whole spider pit scene. There's controversy as to why they cut it out of the original film. Well, if it was the same as it was in Jackson's version, it was like it would have dragged the movie down.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was like an hour of me sitting there going, how much closer can this camera get to Adrian Brody's nose? Because his nose is taking up the entire screen. I'm sorry. I like Adrian Brody, but I just didn't see him as a romantic lead in that. I'm sorry. Oh
Lordy.
My gosh.
So at 4:14, Fat Steven Seagal beat up J.J. Abrams, says sequel trilogy should have been The Offspring, Luke's road to master and the connection throughout. I agree. In Fear, I was thinking of The Young Pope. Haven't seen it yet, but looking forward to seeing season 2, aka The New Pope with John Malkovich. Yeah, that's the only confusing thing is that season 1 is called The Young Pope, season 2 is called The New Pope. So it's actually 2 different series, but it's the same series. But it's unique. It's unique that they did it that way. Lord Toad says, I think it's funny comparing The Godfather with the Disney trilogy. I laughed out loud. I'm glad you appreciated that. And even Andrew Hoyle himself at 414 says, according to Christie's Grits, is it like porridge? I think we ended up making that assessment. Aiden Vickery, it's when they hide behind a curtain with a crayon. And yes, I said crayon because that's what Gary says instead of crayon. He says crayon. Lord Toth, I don't want to see nude hobbits. Just saying, no one does. If their feet are all no, thank you. If that's what their feet look like, no, thank you. Bruce Odin, she created an electronic detonator during World War II, I believe. Yeah, she did. And again, it's driving me crazy. There's a movie that goes into, it's either her or it's another actress, and it goes into that specific story. Eric O'Sullivan says, I'm happy to have been introduced to you today. Thank you, Odin, for this wonderful conversation. Eric, thank you for being here, man. And it looks like I jumped ahead a little bit earlier to jump back to the comments that I missed. And I think it was an accidental hide. And luckily he was unhidden. And
Oh,
so
good.
it happens though. I mean, I've done it before. I think
Me too.
Tina. Yeah. So very, very sorry indeed. Sometimes though, especially when it's hard when you're on your phone, because when you're on the phone, the buttons are so small,
Uh-huh.
you can hide someone accidentally, and
Hmm.
it's awful. Andrew Hoyles, though, says at 423, my dad was working with the Isle of Dogs in London as a builder when he was moved on by his company because they were making a film near the site he was working on. Turned out to be Full Metal Jacket. Oh, damn. Wow.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
that's badass. Uh,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, absolutely. Tell your dad that he's a badass. Bruce says, I cannot watch Jim Carrey anymore because of his out there views of the right, his out there views in general. I mean, I think he still is an anti-vaxxer, last time I heard, and not in the good way, not in the don't let people trace you, like not in the Dave Cullen, okay, it's one thing to get a vaccine, it's another to be forced to get a vaccine and to be forced to get tracking of whether or not you've gotten a vaccine and to withhold people from going to school if they don't have the new coronavirus vaccine whenever that comes out. Like that, obviously, I think is worthy of criticizing. But Jim Carrey being an anti-vaxxer, meaning his belief is that if you get vaccines, that will cause your child to get certain neurological disorders, which there is no proof of. But I understand that, Bruce. Yeah, and obviously that's your prerogative, right? That's up to you to decide whether you want to watch his movies or not. But that's going back to The Majestic. I really do recommend it.
Yeah.
It's made by the same director of of Shawshank Redemption. So it's a Darabont.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a Darabont film. And so again, it's not a perfect movie by any means, but it's made with the same level of craft from the directing style. And so I recommend it. I think,
yeah.
Tina, I think you would actually like it because it's a love letter to movies in a lot of ways.
It was another one when you were talking about that. I was thinking of Cinema Paradiso.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, and it's kind of a love letter
Okay.
to movies.
It's also
And
Hugo in a lot of ways is a love letter to cinema too.
oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. That is such. I know a lot of people are like, this is not like Scorsese, and I was like, well, obviously you've never seen Age of Innocence because that wasn't Scorsese either. What we typically think of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Brian was asking me, why do you think they hit it better? Brian was asking me earlier.
Yeah.
He was saying, well, if current Hollywood is a mess, old Hollywood was worse. And I said, yeah, but they hit it better.
Yeah.
Well, they had murders that they still haven't solved, even though they kind of have an idea who did it, because the studio got called before the cops did. So if the studio comes in and it's like, yeah, we're going to make this look like a suicide. I mean, then the cops roll in and they're in the pockets of the studio. So, yeah, they hit it better.
Even in politics, they did. I mean, look to Ted Kennedy. I mean, everyone knows that he was guilty and he got away with it because that was the time.
He got away with it.
That was, I mean, if that had happened today, he wouldn't have, right? And so,
exactly.
Times change.
And Soul Assassin said, the Black Dahlia. Yeah, I mean, the LAPD interviewed so many people. And I just think they've started getting too deep because there is a term called Hollywood Babylon or Babylon Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was, Thomas Ince. We don't know his name really now.
Okay.
Director, producer, allegedly died in his bed of a heart attack. It is suspected he may have been shot by millionaire William Randolph Hearst because Hearst thought he was fooling around with Marion Davies, Hearst's mistress.
That's a weird. How do you go from heart attack to shot? Like, I could understand heart attack, but it was actually like poison, like, because that you can make. But how do you hide a gunshot wound and say, it was a heart attack?
you haul the body off the yacht and put it in his bed at home, and then you have a studio doctor come in and say, "Yep, heart attack."
just ignore the gunshot.
Just ignore the gunshot wound.
It kind of reminds me, because we're watching On the Waterfront in my classes, because there's obviously a lot of we deal with moral theology this year for religion, and obviously that film is just filled to the brim with moral decisions and moral questions. And so in the very beginning, though, someone gets thrown off the roof. And one of the characters who works for the mob, essentially, who works for the union, his line is just, "I think someone fell off the roof." And it's like, that's the story they went with, was that, nope, he fell off.
Yeah, and there's another, I'm trying to think of it. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
He was also a famous director and producer that died, was murdered. A doctor, maybe, I'm putting big question mark, strolls in and says, "Oh, he died from this," and then he leaves. Nobody ever saw this man again. All right, the studio heads showed up before the police arrived. They interviewed a whole bunch of silent movie stars at the time. I think Mabel Normand, who was a comedian, her career was ruined because they were kind of throwing accusations at her. King Vidor, the director, kind of went on, kind of started playing Columbo years later. He kind of thinks he figured out who did it. But at this point, it's like everybody's dead. Everybody that may have been, connected to it. But it's Brian, that's why I'm saying they hit it better. Look how many years people didn't know Rock Hudson was gay.
Yep.
They even married him to a woman to cover it up.
Yep.
I mean, there's this, oh my gosh, Tyrone Power, who's one of the most beautiful men that was ever in movies. You talk about Me Too? Yeah, he could have brought charges against the male producers in Hollywood that used him as his career was, growing until he became a star.
Yeah.
So these women, Me Too, it's been going on for years. Yeah, it's been going on with men and women.
Yeah.
If you remember in LA Confidential, there was a male prostitute in that. And it was like there were stars and producers and stuff that had been using him, promising, oh, you're going to get a role in this next movie or whatever. So this stuff has been, it's been going on. I'm sure it was going on on the stage.
Well, I mean, as long as humanity has existed, people have treated others like trash, and it's sadly, it's something that's a part of human nature. It's a part of the darker parts of human nature. And so, but it really, the only thing that's really changed is just the way in which it's covered and the way in which it can be hidden, which is not much these days.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that's the reason why, I mean, I do miss the old days. I still look at the pictures and they're gorgeous. And, you're not realizing some of them are having drug problems. Some of them are having alcohol problems. Some of them are having marital issues. And can I explain what, Brian? Please type that out. Do you mean about them hiding it better or, Eric O'Sullivan. Yeah, LA Confidential. James Ellroy's mother was brutally murdered.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's still with the LAPD or not. He may have retired. His father was a doctor that the old LAPD looked at as a suspect in the Black Dahlia murder. And that dude had connections. His daughter left their home because director John Huston tried to rape her.
God.
John Huston of Maltese Falcon. John Huston, the treasure of the Sierra Madre. And it's like, I love those movies. And then I sit and think, he tried to rape a young girl, possibly.
Yep. And then also that opens up, Roman Polanski movies and everything that we know about him too, it's just.
Yeah, I think about that because when I was looking at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and the way that ends. I'm not going to give any spoilers because
Yeah.
I don't know how many.
And it's a
people in
great
the
ending
chat
too.
have
It's a
seen
great
it.
ending to not know
Great,
what's
fantastic
Yeah.
ending. But it made me wonder if Sharon had survived and their baby had survived. Was this something that was innate in his system, or did her murder somehow set that off? Now, I'm not excusing what he did.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, because it's something that normally is not. Because just when it comes to even just attractions, right? They're not something that you're born with, right? They're something that adapt over time. And there's millions of factors that affect those kinds of things, and so it could be that may have had such an impact that it pushed him in that crazy direction, and again, it does not excuse it at all, right? It's still criminal, and it's something that I hope that Hollywood will stop excusing him and treating him as if he's a god, even though we know these things. But yeah, at the end of the day, though, there is indeed still a way that we can understand, at the very least, how these things come about and how they happen.
Yeah, exactly. So no, when I said that about Hollywood used to hide it better, they just did. The studios
and they
covered
could.
up.
It was a different
everything.
era. It was a different era.
It's a different era.
Yeah.
And then the stars decided, we're not going to work under contracts for certain studios anymore. We want to be independent. Well, with that independence, their lives kind of got opened up too. So that's the reason why, we know their politics and everything. And there were stars back then. I mean, Frank Sinatra, I think, came out for JFK, and John Wayne probably came out for somebody. But that's one of those things that, they happened, but I don't think they might have said, well, I'm going to support Adlai Stevenson. Oh, okay. That's all they say.
Yeah.
But they're not sitting on Twitter going, well, if you don't vote for Adlai Stevenson, you're an idiot. You don't have to come see my movies. They weren't doing that kind of stuff.
Different era and different time, that's for sure. All right, let's see. Lord Toth at 425. Martin Landau, great Canadian character actor, Space 1999. I haven't seen Space, but yes, Martin Landau was great in The Majestic. Bruce, everybody go see Alita Battle Angel when it comes back to theaters. Yeah, if it unfortunately looks like it'll only be at Cinemark, though. So if you have a Cinemark near you and you've not seen it before, when it comes back, definitely go check it out. Let's see. Alex McCarthy, he'll be a Hobbit gladiator. Oh, Russell Crowe being a Hobbit gladiator. Interesting. Peabody, who is both a member and a mod, says, Billy D. Williams, an episode of NCIS at 4:30 in the morning. Interesting, they ran out of infomercials. That is interesting.
That's interesting.
According to Christie's Grits, have you watched the series The Chosen on the Life of Jesus? They play several seasons. I don't believe so. I don't believe I've seen that. Bruce, I'm going to put The Island of Barrow on Blu-ray to remind me to rewatch it. There it is. Laura says Block, not Grace Randolph. Yes, I think a lot of us feel that way. Let us see here. Let us see. Where is the next comment? Alex Crowley says, I like Ezekiel 25:17. Let me look that up. What is Ezekiel 25:17? Oh, Pulp Fiction. Okay, that makes sense.
I was curious. Is that from Pulp Fiction?
And I will strike thee down with furious anger. Yes. Okay. I love how the first thing that pops up too when you look into that quote is Pulp Fiction, not the Bible. Pulp Fiction. Oh, that's great. All right, so chat has jumped a little
Brian
bit.
asked me to explain about Orson Welles. He was asking me about Orson Welles. I'll just briefly say.
I would hold off. Yeah, Brian, you've asked a lot of questions today, man. So yeah, just
and the whole Welles thing is so complicated. I love Orson Welles, but it's complicated. And thank you, Pod Racing Palpatine.
Yeah, thank you very much for the super chat. Just came in. Says, just want to say I'm loving this stream. Thanks. Well, Pod Racing Palpatine, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Bruce says, I always liked Brainstorm. Context, Bruce. You're always, as I like to say, always terrible at context. Brainstorm. Who is this? Soul Assassin Tagged wasn't Revelation based on Emperor Nero persecution of Christians. It was inspired. It was during, I believe it was during that time that was written. Because Revelation was was the last book written, and it would have been in the early hundreds AD that would have been written. So yeah, it was definitely during the early persecutions, and Nero is one of the early persecutions of Christians. Yeah, Andrew Hoyle, Rock Hudson was brilliantly cheesy in Avalanche. I have not seen Avalanche.
Oh, I've seen Avalanche. Yeah, it's one of those so bad it's a good movie.
I gotta love those movies, that's for sure. And Fearter, need to rewatch the Austin Powers movies. Groovy, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Bruce, my last time there was to see Tull. Again, Bruce. In Fearter, sing Sundays with Odin. Yes. Waiting for the Drac Laura. Good bop knowledge. Yes. Oh, sorry. I think you meant Birds of Prey knowledge. Talking about, I'm assuming that was a reference to Grace Randolph. Maybe? I don't know. I'm confused. Stephanie B indeed was back. Lord Tothan says, twats are people too. Okay. I know that's a reference to that person calling me that. 70B, I have a receipt from that checkmark dude. Boom. Awesome, 70B. I saw that in our chat. The K-Man, what's going on? The K-Man, what's up? All sorry for missing the stream today. Just got home. Just wanted to show support and say, hey, they're forcing me on rest duty for the rest of the day. Dude, rest, man. And speaking of the K-Man, I'll go ahead and shout him out. He was supposed to be on the show today. But if you want to support the K-Man, he did drop an album about a month and a half or so ago. Mm-hmm. And if you want to support him, obviously, follow him on Twitter. His Twitter handle is simply at the K-Man. And then if you want to check out his album, xtheboundaries.co, check that link out. I just posted it. And show the K-Man some love. He's good people. Bruce, the running under the dinosaurs was too long.
And King Kong.
Okay.
King Kong.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least we get
That's when Sharon said she told her husband, I gotta go. Because she said it looked like those dinosaurs were falling off that cliff for half an hour.
Laura has a great comment, says, when Adrian Brody smells flowers, are they afraid? Sounds like they would be.
Oh my gosh. That was great, Laura. That really was. Oh my gosh.
Bruce says, Odin and I will think about watching that one. Talk about the Majestic. Yes, I do recommend it. I really do. There's so many great lines in it. Soul Assassin, well, you have a heart attack and fall on some bullets that were lying on the ground. Sounds possible. Yes, absolutely. It's kind of like he died after a motorcycle crash, but he also had COVID. Therefore, COVID is what killed him.
Right.
He had a heart attack, but then when he fell, there was also a random bullet that had been shot by someone else. And he was already dead, though, before the bullet hit him, but it was a heart attack. Oh, okay. Yeah. That works. That makes sense. That's what was happening, though. That was...
Oh, Soul, I wish I had thought of that. I knew that you need 2 cameras on set for Adrian Brody, one to catch the actors and the other for his nose. Oh
no.
My gosh.
Oh, there will be no nose shaming on this channel. Andrew Hoyle says, good Lord, Hollywood really is vile. Yeah. And for a long time now. They have been.
Always. Well, that's what I was saying to Brian. I mean, they always have been. It's just they did a better job of covering it up 80 years ago.
Absolutely.
60 years ago. Oh my gosh. Well, I am glad that you finally got to see Wrath of Khan.
Yeah. It was fun.
I need to tell Sharon about that.
Yeah.
She's always says, "Has he seen Wrath of Khan?" Like, I don't
finally
think
have,
so.
and it was a good movie.
I am glad you enjoyed it. And with Star Trek the Motion Picture, you're right. It's very slow. And when I went to see it, and I was a hardcore Trek fan, and that was opening night, so you had nothing but hardcore Trek fans.
Yeah.
And when the Enterprise finally goes into V'ger, you could hear snoring all over the...
Well, because the ship takes like 20 minutes to get fully revealed. And it's like, okay, it's beautiful that you're revealing it like that, but come on, man. Like, 20 minutes later, I'm like, look at my watch. I'm like, can I skip ahead? I think I actually did skip. I think I was like, how long are they revealing the ship? Oh, okay. I'm just going to skip.
Oh, it was, I was like looking around and I'm like, oh my gosh, people are sleeping here. And my youngest sister, I told this, I think Nathan's not, I haven't seen him in the chat today, but
Yeah.
Nathan said, how old was your sister? My sister is sitting in my lap and she keeps dozing and she finally looks at me and she says, Tina? And I said, yeah. And she said, when's the monster going to show up? And I said, what monster? The one that pops out of people's chest and drips acid for blood. And I said, oh my God, I wish that monster was in this movie. He would liven it up so much.
If
And
only
no,
this
she
was
did-
Alien, then
And
it would
only
be.
if this was Alien. And the only reason why she knew about Alien was because we had told her
Yeah.
about it. And she picked up on it so quick.
Yeah.
But no, at the end, when they revealed what Vidra was, I heard people in the audience just went, F it! And they just walked out.
I don't blame him.
And it was like-
I don't blame him at all.
So when I went, when they did Wrath of Khan, I was kind of hesitant because
Yeah.
I was like, is this going to be like the first one? And then I went in there and was totally amazed. And I was
Yep.
like, this is what a Star Trek movie is supposed to be. And JKD Buck 76, yeah, that was one of the things. I think Star Trek the Motion Picture, from a documentary I saw, was originally going to be like a TV movie, but Paramount was still kind of holding out. And then Star Wars came out. And Paramount was like, oh, we got to get back in on that sweet science fiction cash.
Mhm.
The problem is Star Trek is not Star Wars and never has been.
Yeah.
Hear that, JJ?
Brian Barth at 505. I just love asking questions. Brian, the questions it's not a problem at all. It's just that we're just about at 3 hours and 10 minutes, and Odin gets sleepy at around the 3 hour mark. But old man, yes, I would go in and also, of course, I do like to spend a little time with the wife on Sundays too. But Marcus Cato, though, just dropped a $5 super chat. Thank you, Marcus Cato. Says, really glad to see your channel growing. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Marcus Cato. I appreciate that, man. And yeah, I mean, as I said, it's a smaller community and it's great. I love it that way. And, the people here are awesome. And yeah, thank you, Marcus Cato. Appreciate it. Bruce says, last time I was at the Palace was to see Tull. Now I think that is more contextual. Alex Picardi says, I love the Majestic. Sure you do, Alex. Yeah, sure you love a good movie. Sure you do. Bruce says, sorry, Odin being Sunday stream. I wasn't thinking you were going to read all the posts. Most were in reply to Tina, but I didn't tag her. Well, because we obviously have a much, because everyone, a lot of people couldn't be here today. We covered essentially all the topics. And so I was trying to catch up with the chat, and then Tina, being, of course, the historian that she is going to respond to those questions that she gets tagged in. And so, and I've very much appreciated it, but it has also slowed down my process of reading through the chat. So that's why it's like, well, normally that would be okay, Bruce, but when we're also talking about different things throughout, it gets a little bit more difficult. But Will Gentry, he got shot in the heart, but it wasn't the gunshot that killed him. The bullet in his heart caused him to have a heart attack. So the cause of death is heart attack. Case closed. Yes, Will Gentry. That is exactly right. Inferior's a member. Which Star Trek movie is the one with the time traveling to save the whales due to the threat from an alien space whale?
I typed in an answer.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know. Andrew Hoyle, old man Odin goes snooze now. No, not a snooze. Just relax a little bit. And I also, of course, need to grade papers, too. There's a lot of things that need to be done, because also with baby on the way this week, I need to record 5 lectures, of which will be about 45 to 60 minutes long. And then I need to grade papers, and I've graded 12 out of around 89. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of things I got to do. JP Katrokis, go Trokits. Been a long time since I've seen you, dude. Says, where's your hair, dude? Man.
Wow, it's been a while.
Listen, I've been rocking this room for a while now at this point. Bruce then says, oh, yeah, so many of us are replying to Tina and not Odin. Yeah. Yep. There it is. Rhaegar says, Rhaegar Targaryen on Netflix, there's an octopus version of the movie The Shape of Water. Ew. No, thank you. And then JP, do you think that streaming will be the new normal for film release? Doesn't look good for theaters. Yeah, I do. I honestly do. With Regal now shutting down, Cineworld shutting down, their parent company, and AMC looking like it might file for bankruptcy at any time, it's not going to be good. It's definitely not going to be good. I agree, Bruce. Where is Tina's channel? We do need it. Absolutely. No question. And Alex McCarthy, be a rebel and stay up to play Mario Kart. I wish I could, but I say nay. I need to spend some time getting some sleep. And David Blair, thank you for subscribing. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap things up. So Tina, anything and anyone you want to shout out before we end this?
Well, I will shout you and Freya out. Congratulations again. And praying for all the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll shout out the chat. Hi, chat. Can't really think of anything. Hyper's going to be shocked that I didn't really rant today. I had a few rants in mind, but I'm not going to get into them. So let's just say that I'm never going to let Kit Harington. I'm not going to let him live that down.
No,
Yes.
we might bring that up on the November stream.
Yes.
Because and again, for y'all that have not maybe been around, Tuesday, so in a couple days, that will be my last stream for a bit. Because again, my son will be born as early as could go into labor any minute, really. But as late as most likely as late as Friday or Saturday, he will actually enter the world. And of course, once that happens, being able to do live streams will of course go out. So Tuesday is probably going to be the last one for a bit. And so it'll probably be end of November, I imagine, for the next Chosen of Valhalla stream. Is my goal, is my plan. And it might need to be more contained though, depending on how things are going, because the wife now is okay and it can work with my 3-hour streams. When a baby's here, though, might not be able to. But we'll cross that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, though. That's for sure. But Tina, thank you for being here and for being on, and and always being so supportive, and also for answering I guess I always love listening to Tina answer questions, because you always learn something. As we all say, she is a film historian. She knows her stuff. And so, Bryant, as I said, I love your questions, man. The only reason why I said that was just because I was like, I'm trying to catch up with the chat, because we gotta end soon, and Tina is gonna give all this great information that I want to hear, but at the same time too, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like,
yeah,
I
am too. I'm like, I got wings to put in my hot air.
We got dinner to make. And Fear Tour, unfortunately, Friday Night Tights will also probably won't be until sometime in November, when I'd be able to get back to that too. But we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be up to the wife, of course, because as we all know, happy wife, happy life. Before I give any last minute thoughts, I do want to shout out Rosetta Allen. And I'm going to go ahead and post some links to her if you want to support her. She was going to be on the show today. But she is dealing with some stuff, so please keep her in your thoughts and in your prayers. And so if you want to support any of the projects that she's working on, this first one is from a project called Tilt 2, where she is, they're taking email orders right now, or just getting on the mailing list, and she is doing some of the cover art for that. The next link is going to be from one called Street Champion Road Warrior Jake. This is another project where she is also, again, doing the cover art for the project as well. And so if you want to find a link to that, there it is right there, another Indiegogo. And then she has her own project. She's making a book on eagles. So it's called Eagles: An Adventure Through Photos. And so for those that don't know, she is a photographer, and she loves going on hikes, and she loves capturing all animal types, but most especially eagles. And so she plans to have a book specifically of the various pictures of the eagles that she's been able to take pictures of. And so right now she's collecting emails for that as well, and is going to get that out relatively soon. Of course, a lot of things going on with her, a lot of different projects going on too. And so if you want to join her emailing list there, you can do that. And I know that for a couple of those projects, if you join the emailing list early, you'll get access to a couple of special things that others will not get access to. So shout out to Rosetta Allen. And remember also, shout out to ZK Man. I posted his link earlier. If you want to go support him, follow him on Twitter. You can find his website for X the Boundaries. Shout out also to Laura. Thank you, Laura, for being here earlier and for joining us. And I hope the burgers and tots are delicious. And, of course, Mr. Roy as well. Shout out to him and for always being amazing. And shout out to Tina for being the Empress of the Universe, for being my mods. One of my mods being one of my Valkyrie, for always coming in with again, great knowledge of the subject matter of films in general. And as I said, literally, we could have an entire channel dedicated to just the immense knowledge that Tina has on this subject. And it's going to happen one day. One day. And so with that being said, Tina, any last second things?
If you're I'll just throw this off the top of my head.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're interested in silent movies or you want to start getting into them, I would definitely recommend Get Sunrise by F.W. Murnau. One of the last silent movies, and it won an Oscar for being creative. So get that. Get Metropolis. Get that. I was going to say M, but no, that's a talkie. But yeah, get Sunrise. I think you'll be very pleased with it. Hyperin saw it on my recommendation and was just like, I can't say enough good things about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
There you go.
Yeah, and also, yeah, please do. And in fact, I'll go ahead and get that set up because for those that don't know, Tina does indeed have a Letterboxd account. And so if you want to follow her movie goings and her movie ratings as she watches film, she is a film connoisseur, and so she has seen a lot of movies, and she will continue to do so. So if you want to support her over there, there's her Letterboxd account. It is the first step towards her eventual YouTube channel.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So go check out to see the ones that she talked about today, ones that she's talked about on previous episodes, and if you'll find a lot of great recommendations there. Films that maybe you've heard of, films maybe you haven't heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great source. It's a great resource to have in addition to, people have IMDb, people have all these other sites. You all now have her Letterboxd, Tina's Letterboxd account. And that is essentially its own great source of what's good and bad in movies and film. So thank you, Tina.
No, Stephanie, I don't want to be president. Oh.
In this culture, absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not.
No.
I would never run for public office ever.
Well, thank you again, Odin and Laura, and if you're still in the chat, and Mr. Roy, and that came in. I saw you all. Take care, and I don't know when your next show will be, so I'm gonna go ahead and just say Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the United States.
Happy Halloween, Happy Thanksgiving.
Halloween.
Because it could be a bit, the next show, the last show officially planned is to be this Tuesday. We'll have one man low council, and after that, it'll be a giant question mark. So, Merry Christmas, says Andrew Hoyle says. Who knows? Who knows? It could be. But also, another shout out to, obviously, Tina for being here and for being awesome, for being one of the mods, and Valkyrie and Stephanie B, too. Shout out to Stephanie B. I know that she had to go for a little bit, too, to take care of her yoga and her yoga instruction. And so thank you for coming back, Stephanie B. Happy Easter. I don't think it'll be that long. But for sure. Might as well wish me another happy birthday as well. And for next September. But absolutely. Yeah. So Tina, Steph, everyone who was on the panel, all of the chosen who were here today, thank you so very much. And just like I normally do as well, I'll go ahead and shout out my members who are at the Army of Asgard and Keeper of the Bifrost level, because that is one of the perks you get when you're at that level on YouTube, is you get shout out at the end of every stream. So shout out to Bruce, Andrew Hoyle, Eric K, Orange Hat Reviews, Adam Avery, Latino Slant, the Bosco 2000, Twirly Wolf, Jay Stowe, and Aiden Vickery. Thank you very much for being awesome, amazing people. And also, if you are a member at that chosen, or rather at the Keeper of the Bifrost level, there is a podcast that will be coming out with John the Flick Pick. It is delayed. John's been a little bit sick, and it's been harder to schedule things. But I will definitely be pushing very hard for him to get a podcast in with me before Thursday of this week, because after that, I will not be able to podcast for a bit, and I want to make sure that we can get at least one more in for this month. I also plan to do some giveaways for anyone that's at the $5 level or up. Plan to get some of those in. It'll definitely be heavy-handed in the next few days, so do stay tuned to the Discord or to Subscribestar, depending on whether you are a member on Patreon or Subscribestar. And yeah, also apologies again for the Patreon video. It will be shouting out September, but pretty much everyone is also members for October. There's 2 people that are not members anymore, but I'm okay shouting them out because things be crazy. So you guys are all amazing. I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed Sunday. God bless you all. And once again, thank you so much, Tina, for staying on too and
You're
being the only one
welcome.
left. And it was like,
Stand it.
it's like maybe one of these days when I come back, we'll have to have some streams where I have you and Steph on, and we have a nice little panel of the Valks. That'd be good.
Yes, it
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah. As Alex says, maybe I should let the Valkyrie have the have access to the channel while I'm gone, and then it could be the Valkyrie show.
Oh, yeah.
The Valkyrie show, yeah.
She went,
Me?
me? Yes,
Of
you.
course you. So once again, much love to everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my September Patreon and Subscribestar members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, The Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Intertrap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Jonathan Carney, Kenneth Camille, Lady T, Laura the Modern Major General Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Outpost Dyer, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B. Thank you very much for being my supporters over on Patreon. And to my Subscribestar members, stand for John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadon G. Adams, and the K-Man. Thank you so very much for being my supporters over on Subscribestar, and a shout out to all of my supporters on both platforms. If you yourself want to get your name shouted out at the end of every single video and live stream, please consider joining on Patreon or Subscribestar. You can also get access to exclusive giveaways, to an exclusive podcast that I do twice a month with my friend John the Flick Pig Flickinger, where we talk about just random stuff going on in the movies, our reviews, and also we take Q&A questions from everyone as well in those categories. So if you would like to have any of those things or access to them, or even the biggest of them all, to be one of my chosen of Valhalla and get a t-shirt during your first month, and also have access to be featured on the channel once a month on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, please consider checking that out in the links in the description below. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.